Live United. Visit liveunited.org to learn how you can help.
Broadcasting from the Technology Recycler Studios, this is Indy's Mobile News, 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. The news starts now.
Searching for survivors. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. In the rubble of a powerful earthquake, a magnitude 7.7 that struck Burma and Bangkok, Thailand.
I was in my lazy boy, and all of a sudden it moved back and forth, and then it toppled over.
She's lucky she wasn't hurt. At least 3 others were killed when a building under construction collapsed in Bangkok, leaving dozens of others trapped, missing under the debris. There are also images of destruction in Burma and varying reports of deaths there. Nothing confirmed by the military-run government, and there's also quake damage in China. Vice President Vance and his wife Usha on their way to Greenland, along with the National Security Advisor and Energy Secretary, visiting the Denmark territory President Trump wants the U.S. to take over.
The headline of this visit is going to be a stop at the Bidufik Air Space Base. It's about halfway between the U.S. and northern Russia, so it's about as important a location for missile warning and missile defense as anywhere on the planet. But there are also some space missions that remain mostly classified that launch from there.
That's Fox's Peter Doocy at the White House. Greenland is resisting that U.S. push for control. Israel's gone on the attack in Lebanon months after a ceasefire with Hezbollah, which Israel blames for rockets launched into northern part of that country. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is in the Philippines, a strategic military partner in the Pacific, countering China.
We are doubling down on that partnership, and our ironclad alliance has never been stronger.
Well, Hegseth remains caught up in the Signal group chat controversy. Democrats want fully investigated after a journalist was mistakenly invited into that chat discussing U.S. military action against Houthi militants in Yemen. A federal judge has ordered the chat messages be preserved. We just got an update on inflation showing a 0.4% increase last month in the Personal Consumption Expenditures Index. The annual inflation rate remained at 2.5%. There was a slight increase in the more closely watched core rate, though. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
It looks like the same thing. You have a mostly cloudy sky, and it's 53 degrees in downtown Indianapolis. Your high today is 80 degrees. I'm Ryan Hedrick. Here's what's trending at 9:02. Wind damage can seem like the same thing as tornado damage, says Jason Puma, the National Weather Service.
A big difference, though, however, is that, straight line winds can be over a large area, whereas tornado might be essentially in a much smaller area as well.
And Puma says severe weather is possible across the state on Sunday. All modes of threats are on the table. Governor Mike Braun says today that Jennifer Ruby has been appointed as Indiana's new public access counselor. Her role is to ensure the public has access to important government information and to provide guidance on the state's public access laws. What if you found out that your child was being physically and verbally abused repeatedly by a teacher? Chris Davis reports an Elkhart family has hired an attorney.
The family found out about the abuse because of a Child Protective Services investigation. The student, who has special needs, is believed to have been put in headlocks and force-fed, among other kinds of abuse. The Eastwood Elementary teacher has not been named publicly, but Elkhart Community Schools says he is no longer employed there. The investigation may uncover more, but for now, the district is not commenting any further. Chris Davis, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
And Purdue faces top-seeded Houston tonight in the Sweet 16 at Lucas Oil Stadium. Head coach Matt Painter shares what makes Houston tough.
They're so good defensively. If you don't take that shot, it's kind of like facing a real pitcher in the major leagues, and you get that good first pitch, and you take it, you're probably not getting another good pitch.
And tonight's game starts at 10:09. I'm Ryan Hedrick on the level on the go and at WIBC.com. Now Matt Bear with traffic.
All right, Ryan, southbound 6570 of Fletcher, stall on the left shoulder. Eastbound 465 slows Allisonville Road over to I-69. Traffic sponsored by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off. I'm Matt Bear on the 5s at WIBC Traffic.
Indiana patients rely on many types of pharmacies to access their medications and critical healthcare services. But a proposal being considered in the Indiana legislature called SB 140 would disrupt access to medications for Indiana patients. SB 140 would impose government mandates blocking access to critical pharmacy options and services in Indiana. Lost access to pharmacy options would directly harm many of Indiana's most vulnerable patients, including patients fighting cancer and heart disease, many of whom rely on specialty pharmacies for their care. SB 140 would even hike costs for Indiana patients by imposing a $10 tax on every prescription filled in the state. That would often fall directly on the patient. Tell your state legislator, protect access to medications, reject higher costs. Put Indiana patients first by voting no on SB 140, paid for by conservatives for lower healthcare costs.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Great news, Casey.
Yeah, what's that? It's Friday. I love great news on a Friday.
Great news. Diego Morales is alive, and someone put out a horrible press release on his behalf.
Yes, he wanted to tell us where he was. He went on an unannounced economic development trip to India.
Okay, so let's reset. I assume most of our audience is aware of this, but let's kind of reset what has been going on here and why this is our lead story over multiple days, because this has the potential to be a really big deal. It has the potential, depending on what the actual truth is here. And by the way, it's not going away. We're not stopping. Many media outlets now have caught on to what's potentially going on here, and Diego's not going to be able to slither out of this one likely like he has in the past. And so Diego Morales, the Secretary of State, essentially went missing over several days. He blew off his budget hearing. His legislative director, Keegan Kagan, and his attorney, who showed up in his place, they said he was on some sort of economic development mission. Then he was advertised, but they didn't say where or what he was doing. Then he was advertised at this big event at Life Church put on by the Hamilton County Republican Party, where Micah and Daniel Elliott, who's the state treasurer, and Elise DeShala, the state comptroller, and Diego were supposed to be on stage answering these questions. He no-shows that event. Keegan Kagan is there in his place, again says he's on some sort of economic development mission. Still nobody knows where he's at, what he's doing. And then on the internet, some Indian group posts...
Indo-American Chamber of Commerce.
Okay, very good. Boy, that rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? Hey, Diego Morales was here. He was speaking at our event. And then in this post that Diego Morales ends up in India, this guy by the name of Raju Chinthala.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, Chinthala.
Chinthala, thank you. Who we may remember from such thing as the Raju, red, white, and blue congressional commercial. He ran for Congress and lost in the 5th Congressional District, which Hammer then turned into an infamous part of this show, the Sandstorm remix.
Yeah.
Is now listed as a senior advisor to Diego in India. Well, then we start looking into this, and we uncover what appear to be $80,000 of Secretary of State contracts that connect a company Raju is listed as the president for to Diego's office. So now you have a guy who's apparently getting money from Diego's office, who's listed as a senior advisor to the office he's getting money from. That raises all sorts of potential ethical questions. And then this Raju guy is on Facebook posting about how while he's in India, he's going to be selling access to these EB-5 visas, which potentially over time with this gargantuan payment can allow people to have permanent legal status in this country. So you've got the Secretary of State in India with the guy now listed as a senior advisor who his office has contracts with, and now this guy is bragging about how he's in India selling access to these EB-5 visas, and the Secretary of State's there with him. You see how everybody's like, what? Oh, and by the way, the Secretary of State has no economic development responsibilities.
Correct.
That's not in his purview. That's not his job. That's not the thing he's supposed to be doing. And everybody's like, what in the heck is going on here?
Well, you know what one of his responsibilities actually is that is to present his budget to the General Assembly, which he completely did not do.
That's right. He blew off, if you believe the legislative director and the attorney who said he was on an economic development mission, which it turns out this is where he was. He blew off it's the Senate in this case. Now, a lot of people think he blew it off because he got totally depantsed when he presented his budget in front of the House.
Right.
Because they brought up all the no-bid contracts, these companies who had donated money back to his campaign, the people who had got the no-bid contracts had donated to his campaign, that his brother-in-law was getting this huge salary, all of these things that are well known about Diego. And so everybody's going, well, you know, what in the world is going on here? Well, then Braun, Governor Braun, gets asked about this yesterday. I gathered this was some sort of meeting related to the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, who there are two people who have economic development responsibility in this state, which is the governor. As we clearly saw with old Governor Hightax, he was out of the country as much as he was in it on these supposed economic development missions, and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. These are the two people, or two groups of people, the governor's office and the Economic Development Corporation.
Responsible for economic development in the state.
Diego Morales, of the 7 million people in this state, he is number 6,999,998 that you would send to represent your state. This is huge effect. So Braun got asked about this.
Yeah.
And what'd he say?
He said that Secretary of State Diego Morales is probably overstepping his official responsibilities.
That's a very nice way of saying
he
he's
took
out
a
of
giant
bounds.
leap off the ledge.
So Tom Davies at State Affairs had the article on this. That's a subscription service that covers the State House. You can check that out if you want. Stateaffairs.com is the website. And so basically, Braun is saying what we have been telling you in a more diplomatic, politically responsible way, which means the guy's out of bounds. There's no logical reason for him to be there. And now you have confirmation from the governor of what we've been telling you and what everybody else knew. Now, the next question is, who paid for this trip?
Right. Who? Now, if this was an official trip, economic development for the state of Indiana, as Diego was presenting himself as the Secretary of State, official business, there should be records.
Well, right. So we'll get into that in a second about what he should probably have to declare if indeed this was an official trip. But I want to read, because this is very important, the press release.
Oh, surely in there he says what he...
So finally, Diego, after basically disappearing for the better part of 10 days, he put out this long-winded press release that didn't answer any of the questions that people actually really care about or are concerned about. But at the very bottom in all bold, now this is a direct response to us. This is a direct response to our radio program, because we drove this story. We have made this the story that everybody is talking about in Indiana politics and government, because we found those contracts with Raju. We helped promote that thing that he was bragging about being in India, selling these EB-5 visa access. Quote, the 10-day trip was privately funded. The travel dates were determined by pre-scheduled conferences and speaking invitations. No agency or taxpayer funds were used. Okay, first of all, if that's true and it was predetermined, then everybody in his office should be fired, because he was advertised on this very high-profile event at Life Church that had a room full of people. You see the aerial photo.
Said he was going to be there.
And said he was going to be there. And he's also, his entire budget should be stripped from him because he scheduled an event during budget session, which is his actual job, to present the budget, to give the budget, to answer questions about the budget, and he blew that off. So everybody in his staff should be fired if that's the case, because they advertised him to be at this event, and he's in India. And two, the General Assembly now should take every penny from him, because he scheduled this event, according to this press release, which his office sent out, that he scheduled this trip to India, a 10-day trip to India, in the middle of the budget session. Okay, that's the first part of this. The second part, the 10-day trip was privately funded. No agency or taxpayer funds were used. Okay, paid for by who?
Who? Right, who then?
Was it Raju? Was it someone connected to Raju, because, of course, your office has an $80,000 contract, according to documents, with Raju's company, or the company that he's listed as the president for. Raju is bragging of being in India, selling EB-5 visas. He's tagged with you in this post by this organization listed as your senior advisor. Did Raju or a company connected to Raju pay for the trip? Who paid for this trip?
Was it NASCOM, which is a global confluence that is representing $245 billion international technology industry? He was listed as the keynote speaker at this IndiaSoft 25 conference. He went on to say that visiting India is invaluable opportunity to strengthen Indiana's economic ties.
Okay, let's just pretend it's all above board. Let's just pretend everything was above board and there's no hanky-panky that went on here. You as a taxpayer should still be outraged, though, because he blew off his job.
Right.
He blew off his actual job to go do something. He doesn't speak for Braun or the Economic Development Corporation, who hands out economic development deals. Good, bad, or indifferent, the governor and the IEDC are who sign off on economic development deals. Diego Morales has no ability to speak for anyone whatsoever. None. He has no authority to do that whatsoever. So even if we determine or find out everything was above board about this, you should be outraged as a taxpayer.
What is he doing? Usurping the governor?
Right. He went AWOL for his actual job to go hang out in India to do a thing he has no statutory authority to do whatsoever.
Right.
Okay. Now, if indeed this was paid by a private party, which he's claiming, then there likely should be a record of this. And I had someone who knows state law spell this out for me. Do we want to take a quick break and then I can try to kind of spell this out on what the reporting could be or probably should be based on where he went? I mean, this is the problem, right? Like, this is ridiculous, Casey, that we're having to have this conversation.
Well, and it just goes to show we have seen a pattern of behavior over the years with him, which I think we need to remind everybody about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, think about this. Diego Morales could solve all of this by coming out today and saying, here's where I went, here's who paid for it, here's the receipts of the hotels I stayed at, the flights, the meals, here's who paid for all this. There you go. Thank you. Have a nice day. They deliberately didn't include that in the press release. They went out of their way because, see, they respond to us. And because we said, well, was this a taxpayer-funded trip? They think, oh, well, see, we'll answer that question, then everybody will be done with it. No, it just sparks a much bigger question, which is nobody's running a soup kitchen here.
Yeah.
Who's the person who paid for the trip? What did they want for you going over there? And again, why are you in India with the guy listed as a senior advisor who has contracts with your office who's boasting about selling access to immigration visas?
We've got more to discuss. It is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
When you wake up,
you understand this is about money. 1,000%. They started this.
When you work,
we are gonna make some noise today.
Eliminate property taxes now.
Hanging out with us, it's fun.
Right.
When you drive home.
Is it time to try something new, you think? Because it hasn't worked, and maybe try something new.
Traffic when you need it.
Stopped on 465 again. And
updates all the time.
I'm Ryan Hedrick on the level, on the go.
Stay in the know wherever you go with 93 WIBC.
Everyone is talking about Galaxy concrete coatings and their transformation. Like your neighbor Dennis.
I was in the process of refinishing my garage and, trying to turn it into a man cave. So I started searching, online, and I ran across Galaxy.
Galaxy concrete coatings is not epoxy. It's better.
First thing I wanted to do initially is I wanted to repair where the concrete had eroded. They said they could do that. I said, well, heck, let me go ahead and get the entire floor covered.
Commercial or residential, 4 times stronger than epoxy, and it comes with a lifetime warranty.
They were so courteous and respectful of of the home and the property. And when they're done, they cleaned up, picked up, swept up. It was like they were never there.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com now. That's Galaxy Concrete Coatings. And remember to like us on Facebook. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. We're out of this world.
I would recommend Galaxy over any other competitor, hands down. You're going to be taken care of and you're going to be satisfied. These guys know what they're doing.
Looking for a great deal on a new Lincoln? Come to Tom Roush Lincoln. Select 2024 Lincoln Navigators now $15,000 off and get 0% for 72 months. How about an all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus now $6,000 off with rates starting at 4.9% for 60 months. We look forward to seeing you at Tom Roush Lincoln in Fishers.
Lincoln Navigator MSRP 104,825. Lincoln Nautilus MSRP 57,785. Offers good through March 31st, 2025. Subject to credit approval. See dealer for complete offer details.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students.
Technology Recyclers is the safe and ethical choice for your computer and electronics recycling. R2 certified, 100% landfill-free, guaranteed destruction of data, and absolutely free pickups. Visit tech-recyclers.com.
Hey, where did we go? Days when the rain
All right, Casey. All right. I didn't want to do it, but you have insisted we continue to just take a giant dump all over Diego Morales. So since you want to do it,
Okay.
I can't say no to you. Let's do it.
I like it when I get my way on a Friday. I think what we need to do is remind our listeners and establish this pattern of behavior when it comes to the Secretary of State, Diego Morales.
Okay, we'll do that because I talked to someone who is universally respected in state government yesterday who gave me a whole bunch of legalese on what they think Diego is going to have to do on this trip or should be doing on this trip. And I said, well, look, you got to dumb this down where I can try to explain this to people in 2 minutes. And then this person took a stab at it and said, and I think they did a pretty good job. So we'll read that. Okay, so... And by the way, we told you people all of this when he was running.
Absolutely.
There was a wonderful libertarian running. You know, we rip on libertarians all the time, but in the case of the Secretary of State, there was a fabulous libertarian who was wholly qualified, infinitely better qualified than Diego and Destiny Wells to be Secretary of State. And we said, look, Diego is a professional slime ball. This guy is a skis bucket. And you shouldn't want to be you wouldn't want him anywhere near running your local Wendy's, much less being over business licensure and elections and everything else. So we try to do our part. But let's remind you of what we told you about this guy 3 or 4 years ago. Number one, paperwork shows he was fired by Todd Rokita from the Secretary of State's office when Todd Rokita was Secretary of State. Now, they've tried to hedge on that since then. Abdul posted the paperwork years ago. The paperwork is there. Nobody refutes that. Is the paperwork from Rokita's office is that Diego Morales was fired from the Secretary of State's office.
Incomplete work and ineffective execution and lack of focus.
Okay, then he somehow, and this is state government in a nutshell, right? And how these politically connected people operate, because Diego was tied into Mike Sodrell somehow. Mike Sodrell was a congressman, and he had some relationship with him, as I recall. Well, somehow Diego ends up back in the Secretary of State's office, which I don't know how that works, because if you got fired by the last guy, why somebody else would want you back in there. But he ends up back at the Secretary of State's office when Charlie White was Secretary of State. Now, keep in mind, Charlie White was booted because he lied about where he lived when he was on the Fishers City Council. He pled guilty. I think it was to a felony that he pled guilty to, and was then booted out of being the Secretary of State because of lying about his residency when he was on the Fishers City Council. And so Diego was tied into that. That should be all sorts of red flags. The paperwork then showed Diego was so bad that he was about to be fired by Charlie White's office, and then he quit before they could fire him.
So the records show that he was disciplined for poor execution and failing to complete his work and leaving the office to attend a personal function.
Oh, boy, isn't that familiar? Boy, howdy. So then, and this is where I first met Diego. Diego somehow ends up working for Mike Pence's election campaign. And I remember first meeting Diego at one of these events. In fact, I think it was a Hendricks County Lincoln Day dinner that he was helping staff. And I was like, who in the world is this guy, and why is he in any sort of position of authority? Well, then he ends up with some position in Pence's office, and nobody knew what he did. Nobody knew what his responsibilities were. He would end up on these foreign trips, and you would see him post them on Facebook. And this was this was a giant red flag. You would see him in these foreign trips, and you're like, Diego, how did you end up there? And he would just look at you, and he would always go, and he still does this to this day when he doesn't want to answer something. Ho, 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 you are the man. Ha, 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 ha. You are the man. And would never answer the question on what did you do? What was your responsibility? What was your taxpayer-funded requirements? What were you supposed to be doing? And how did you end up on all these foreign trips? And then he supposedly ran some sort of staffing company. We couldn't determine what he did or who, because he was consistently running for secretary. By the way, keep in mind, in between that, he ran for Congress, lost.
Yes.
In the middle of that, he somehow voted in a county different from where he took his homestead credit.
Correct.
Which you can't. So that would tell somebody either because your homestead credit is your home, which is where you live. So either you weren't being forthright with the tax people because you were taking a tax exemption with the homestead credit, or you weren't being forthright with the voting people because
you were trying to run
voted
in a
somewhere
place.
different from where your homestead credit was. Okay, so but then he ends up running full time for 2 years for Secretary of State, and I kept asking the question. He supposedly owns a staffing company,
right? Business owner. That's how he describes himself.
Yeah, how is it you own a company, and yet you never seem to be doing anything with this company? You're always running for Secretary of State. You're crisscrossing the state. So Mike is running for lieutenant governor. He's crisscrossing the state.
Yeah.
He's a pastor. Your job is to be in church on Sunday.
Correct.
How you prepare your sermon, is it in a car or whatever? I know where you're at. I know what you're doing. Your job is to be preaching on Sundays. He is there. Diego was like, how do you run a business and yet you're crisscrossing the state and all you appear to be doing is campaigning full-time? You couldn't get an answer on that. We had him on the show. We gave him an opportunity. Think about how much money, Casey, businesses spend to be promoted on WIBC.
Right. He had the opportunity to talk about his business because we asked him, what is the business?
And he didn't want to answer.
Nothing.
He didn't want to give you the answer to the question.
No.
So the point of, and it was spot on for you saying we must set this is a pattern of behavior, of sketchy behavior from this guy that has been going on for years and years.
Well, and then when
years.
he was in that representative budget meeting, and Delaney asked him about his brother-in-law making that 6 figures, and he didn't want to answer then either. He just wanted to say, I want to give you the best talent.
Right.
Okay.
What everybody knows, your brother-in-law works for you. Everybody knows what your brother-in-law gets paid, Einstein. It's public record. We can see it. That's how we found the contracts with Raju's company. They act like we're not capable of doing even the most basic of stuff.
Nothing to see here. These are not the droids you're looking for.
Okay, so real quick, so he took this privately funded trip. We're going to run a little long before we get to the news because I want to lay this out, because I asked somebody who is very respected in state government what the reporting requirements are for this, and there's a bunch of legal codes and everything, and I said that I'm not going to say the person's name because this person, we would not subject them to being known that they associate with me, even though almost everybody in the State House, other than the lawmakers in some capacity, associates with me because they all listen to the show. All right. So this is what the person said, and I will change the wording of some of it as to not risk identifying who the person actually is. All right. Are we ready? Okay. And this is what they said. Basically, there should be a paper trail of some kind unless it costs less than $100 to go to India. If he took staff that aren't elected officials, they're subject to the same standards as any state employee. So Raju is listed as a senior advisor.
Right.
Which that would seem to be some sort of staff, right? At a minimum, if it's tied to his official duties as Secretary of State, he has to file a statement of economic interest. If not, he shouldn't be using his job title within the trip or be acting like he's acting in official state capacity, which he clearly was.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, he goes on to say, if a private third party, say a tech firm or trade group, pays for the Secretary of State to visit, say, Germany to study election systems, they need to report the donor's name, trip purpose, and value over $100 on their next economic interest statement filed later. If the state reimburses the third party or payment bypasses the Secretary of State personally, disclosure shifts to the agency budget transparency and not the individual form. Well, they've said right here it's private money. And so that would imply that it's not being reimbursed or paid for by his office, which should mean that he's got to file this disclosure on who paid for this stuff.
Right. I'm looking up clearly, I'm just assuming it costs more than $100 to fly to India.
Right.
From Indianapolis.
You would think so.
Right.
Plus, hotels or wherever he stayed or anything else, right? I'm guessing he wasn't staying in a local hut or shanty somewhere.
No.
Okay.
So do we know how long he has? So it's the next...
There's some sort of filing period with these. But he should just do this himself. Why wait?
Why? What's the big secret?
Just come out and say, here's where I went. Here's the places I stayed. Here's who paid. Here's the receipts. Thank you. Have a nice life. Why won't he do that?
He was definitely represented as the Secretary of State of Indiana. Even in that Twitter post.
Totally.
It said.
Totally. Absolutely. All right. We got to take a break. We ran a little long there. Sorry, news department, but we thought that was very important. I felt like we were giving you the news.
You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
You can't tie his hands. It's mostly cloudy and 54 degrees in the capital city. Your high today is 80. I'm Ryan Hedrick. Here's what's trending at 9:30. Republicans say they're not happy that federal judges keep ruling against many of the Trump administration's actions since the start of his second term. Florida Senator Ashley Moody.
You cannot tie a leader, an American president's hands while they're trying to lead for the American people.
Temporary injunctions give the courts time to review the legality or constitutionality of a specific action, and many of them are lifted on appeal. Severe weather is possible this weekend.
The main window that we'll be looking at for severe weather on Sunday really will be in the afternoon hours, say after 2 o'clock into the evening hours through about 9 p.m.
That's Jason Puma at the National Weather Service. He says the rain starts tonight and into Saturday and intensifies on Sunday. Opening bell report on 93 WIBC, brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management, LLC. To begin the day, trading down all three major indices. The Dow down 155 points to 42,299. The S&P down 27 points to 5693.31. And the NASDAQ down 128 points to 19,798. I'm Ryan Hedrick, on the level, on the go, and at WIBC.com.
Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. How retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing, must-visit shops. And how healthcare offices become the data managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business. Powering possibilities.
Now through May 4th, new customers can get started with 300 megabit internet and Security Edge for $69 a month for 24 months. And ask how to get free installation on qualifying bundles. Plus, find out how to get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying gig bundle. Call today. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Requires enrollment in paperless billing and automatic payments with bank account. Equipment, taxes, and other fees extra. After 24 months, regular rates apply.
Hey guys, it's
is Rob for Universal Windows Direct's Tax Time Sale. And what a deal going on right now with Universal Windows Direct. Listen to 3 things you're going to get if you call Universal Windows Direct today. First of all, buy 2 windows, get 2 free. No limit. Need 4, only pay for 2. Need 20, you only pay for 10. And on top of that, pay no interest until 2030. That's right, no interest for the next 6 years. And third, and boy, what a deal this is, Universal Windows Direct is giving you an extra $500 off your home improvement project. So buy 2 windows, get 2 free, no interest until 2030, and $500 off your home improvement project with Universal Windows Direct. Now, some restrictions may apply. So to get all the details and schedule your totally free in-home estimate, call Universal Windows Direct today, 317-659-7574. 317-659-7574. Check them out on the web, universalwindowsdirect.com, universalwindowsdirect.com. Tell them Rob sent you.
Oh, no. Stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Are you having a hard time making it through a day of work without foot pain or discomfort with things that used to be simple, like walking the dog? You may be thinking there's no way that something as simple as the Good Feet store can help you, like Bill.
My feet would just ache, my back would hurt, my ankles, everything just hurt. And I'd seen the commercial several times before I finally said, I'm going to do this. And I'll be darned if it didn't work. I feel a million times better than I ever did.
Another satisfied customer of the Good Feet store is Wendy.
Since wearing my arch supports from the Good Feet store, my back pain is gone and my feet don't hurt as much. And as I look into the future without pain, I see myself being even more adventurous, joyful, and full of possibility.
Come to the Good Feet store today for your free fitting and test walk. We're located in Castleton by the Fashion Mall or in Greenwood just off the 65. Or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. Good Feet arch supports are HSA and FSA eligible. Discover your options at the Good Feet store.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
So we've been discussing the Secretary of State, Diego Morales, and his 10-day trip to India, which he says was privately funded, and no agency or taxpayer funds were used to pay for the trip. And I was curious because if that's the case, he's got to report that if it's over $100. So, of course, a flight to India is more than $100. Did a little research. Rob, you want to take a guess?
This is round trip.
Yeah.
There and back.
Economy
flight. But I'll say $5,000.
No, it's a little cheaper than that.
Oh.
It is around $1,200.
Well, that's more than 100, though.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely more than 100.
So even if he had literally just said, I will sleep in the streets, because the $100 is the reporting requirement, even if he had literally said, I will sleep in the street, he would still be over the $100 reporting requirement.
Correct.
And eat no meals or anything else.
So the shortest time duration that I could find for a flight from Indiana to India, 13 hours, 45 minutes. Yeah. Cheapest month to fly is April. Sorry. Those conferences that he was attending, they were pre-scheduled.
Oh,
he could not. There was no workaround.
Well, and again,
he had to be there rather than his budget.
And we'll move off this because we need to talk about the TSA for a second, because the Republicans are being completely ridiculous and trying to whitewash history here. But then we'll get to that in a second. The radio, this is just the same thing with the property taxes. The radio guys should, we are driving this story. We are the reason. This radio program is the reason this is a story now, and that's ridiculous. The Republican-controlled supermajorities in the House and Senate and the Republican governor have the ability to get all the information they want on this right now. And what they need to say, both Braun, in an emphatic voice, Braun needs to come out and say this, and certainly Rod Bray and Todd Houston need to come out and say, we are not giving your office a single dime, Diego. And in fact, we're going to begin stripping your statutory responsibilities until you provide the answers to these things. I certainly think they're going to have the Democrats that are going to agree to do that based on the comments that Ed Delaney has made, and the Democrat Senate leader who was asked about this yesterday. I certainly think you'd have their support. They have the ability to get the answers to these things that we're trying to work very hard to get. They have the ability to get them because they control the money. Don't give him the money. He'll have to answer them if he wants the money.
Are you getting a office influence for sale vibe on any of this? I mean, does this feel anything like Joe Biden, 10% for the big guy?
Look, you know that the no bid contracts and then those companies end up giving huge money to his reelection campaign. That's a giant red flag. Your brother-in-law is working for you in some six-figure position and then gets a huge bonus. That's a giant red flag. He doesn't want to answer those questions. He was given every opportunity by Ed Delaney, and he would not do it. Why? Okay, now he's in India. He's in India with the guy who, according to state documents, has an $80,000 in contracts and is now listed as a senior advisor. That's a giant red flag. The guy who he's with in India, who's listed as a senior advisor, is on Facebook talking about how he's selling access to these EB-5 visas. That's a giant red flag. This is not like we're in some conspiracy theory here. We're showing the facts. We're laying the facts out about what your Secretary of State is doing. And at the very least, it's super disrespectful to you, the legislature. Keep in mind, they're doing this same thing to Micah Beckwith right now that we're talking about, and Micah Beckwith's done nothing wrong.
No.
They're taking agencies and funding away from Micah Beckwith, who did nothing other than beat Julie McGuire at a state convention.
Correct.
And the guy who's doing all of these things, who has a multi-decade track record of being super sketchy, you won't do anything to him?
Right. Possibly overstepping. Or taking a giant leap.
The Inspector General should launch an investigation into this. Ryan Mears should launch an investigation into this. Todd Rokita should be launching an investigation into this. And why, whether it's Micah or Elise Nishala or Daniel Elliott, the lieutenant governor, the state comptroller, the state treasurer, or Todd Rokita, the attorney general, why won't these people come out and publicly demand to know this information on Diego?
Yeah, what's going on
Why
here?
are we the ones? Why is the media the ones who's putting the pressure on him? Thankfully, these other media outlets are getting on it now. But where are these statewide office holders? Where are the General Assembly?
Putting a little distance between them and Diego Morales.
They appear to be covering up for this guy. Micah and Rokita and Nishala and Daniel Elliott, all of them should be putting out press releases if they're truly for transparency, demanding to know the specifics of where Diego was, and that also includes the governor.
Yeah, who paid for the trip? Who paid for it? So let's talk about what's going on with the Republicans. The senators are introducing a bill to abolish TSA, Transportation Security Administration. They're saying that, you know what? We no longer need this.
Boy, that's
which is
rich.
really interesting, right? Because weren't they the ones that created TSA?
The TSA was created as some of us. Now, this was, the TSA was one of the first times I remember actually processing how government doesn't seem to be the answer to something, because I was in high school at the time when this happened. It was created in the wake of 9/11.
Right, response to 9/11.
And I remember them. Specifically remember where this is so weird how you remember things in your life that it's like, why do I remember this? I remember driving with my dad. We were in Speedway. And I remember listening to WIBC and them talking. The news was talking about the president calling for a creation of federalizing the airlines and creating this entity and Homeland Security and the TSA. And I remember looking at my dad, and it's just so weird how you remember these things. And I remember that was the first time in obviously I'd never voted. I was in high school. I wasn't eligible to vote. But I remember looking at my dad going, that seems like a horrible idea, because the government just allowed this thing to happen. And we're saying we're going to give government, who just allowed this thing to happen, more power? What is that going to solve? Is that crazy that I remember that?
No. I mean, I can remember talking about Homeland Security, making this new cabinet position. Do you remember, though, how the Dems would only agree to TSA if it were unionized?
I did not remember that.
Yeah.
But what I remember is the Republicans, obviously there was a Republican president with a Republican House of Representatives, and essentially an equally controlled Senate. I think it was 51-49. The Democrats had the power after Jim Jeffords switched parties. All voted for this. So that's very rich of the Republicans who created and stood behind this thing for all these years to come out now and go, this thing's got to go.
So they want to privatize airport security, and they want to put it under an Office of Aviation Security Oversight. The bill directs the Secretaries of Homeland Security and Transportation to submit a reorganization plan to Congress. They propose abolishing the TSA 3 years after it becomes law, allowing time to privatize security needs.
Okay, so
don't know how much support this bill's going to get in Congress. If they'll be able to do it.
And like I'm the wrong guy to talk to about getting on the death tubes and what's the best way to secure the death tubes because I'm petrified of flying and for various reasons. My question would be, like, how do you because it involves flying over multiple states? Obviously, there's a huge economic impact of doing this. How do you square that with ensuring that the flights are actually, I would have all sorts of questions on how this is actually going to work because you have multiple, obviously at an airport, you have tons of companies that are flying. These airplanes are flying out. You know way more about flying than I do. I a handful of times in my whole life, and they were all against my will, and I should have been eligible to call one of these personal injury attorneys after having to get on these flights. But how does that play out in your mind?
Well, it's kind of one of those. I've always viewed it as it's one of those evil necessaries. Yes, you want your flights to be secure, you want the airports to be secure, but just the entire process of it is just ridiculous to me. At this point, the taking off the shoes and the jacket and everything, and then some people can and some people don't have to. It's just the whole thing.
I think you hit the nail on the head. And again, I don't pretend to be the right guy to comment on this because I just don't do flying, and it's related to things that have nothing to do with if I think there's going to be a terrorist on the airplane. But there has to be a middle ground between saying, okay, you can't just have the Wild West on a what could turn into a heat-sinking, sinking missile, right? Which a plane has a potential to be, unlike, an automobile. I guess it could, but it's not going to do the damage an airplane could do. Versus the insanity now of it takes, you got to get to the airport 2 hours early because of all the checking and everything else. There's got to be some sort of middle ground here, right?
It's almost like it swung too far. Indiana ranks among the worst states for laser pointer strikes against aircraft.
A what?
Laser pointer. The little, it looks like a pen and has a laser and you point it up at things.
The thing that you point at cats and make them miserable?
Correct. Laser pointers.
That affects, they go that high up in the air, you can affect an airplane?
Or tools.
Really?
Yes, they can cause temporary blind spots for pilots when they're aimed at the sky. They pose dangers to passengers. And so Indiana ranking among one of the worst states for this. This is according to the FAA, and the FAA can impose fines exceeding $30,000 for repeat violators. And just last year, over 12,800 laser strikes were reported by pilots.
If you're attempting to alter, and I know we got to get you a break, but if you're attempting to alter a pilot's ability to fly a plane, which again, as we've laid out, you have hundreds of people potentially on this airplane. It could turn into a heat-seeking missile that could do all sorts of damage. Shouldn't you be tried for attempted murder?
Indiana ranked 8th in laser strikes across the country.
You're talking about in the air, these things go high enough now in the air, a laser pointer, that you can affect a pilot in an airplane?
Yes, last year there were 512 reported incidents in Indiana.
Oh, yeah. If you do that, you should be arrested and tried for attempted murder because you could have killed everybody on that airplane. No doubt about that whatsoever.
You ready for this one? 75% of these incidents, of the 512 that occurred in Indiana, took place in Indianapolis.
Oh, jeez, of course.
It's Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel Show 306 this afternoon. It is Beer Sample Friday. We're going to have a good time and the championship of Hammer and Nigel Records Madness.
For over 20 years, Howard Bailey Financial has been helping families just like yours gain clarity, confidence, and purpose with personal and practical financial strategies. And now, we're offering our full suite of services on Rangeline Road, right in the heart of Carmel, making it even easier to meet with our experienced team face-to-face. Whether you're planning for retirement, navigating life transitions, or just need guidance for your financial future, we're here to walk with you every step of the way. Text CARMEL to 888-262-1104 to download a free retirement resource. Howard Bailey Financial, helping you turn hope into a plan and dreams into reality. Howard Bailey Securities, LLC is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies. Please see disclosures at howardbailey.com.
I know, it's cold, it's gross, it's winter. But hey, here at Life Church, we're planning for spring and summer. We have some really great events planned for your kids and teenagers, and they start soon. So don't miss the opportunity to register your kids and teens for our exciting events where they'll hang out with friends and grow closer to God while doing it. So go to lifechurchin.com, I'm new, Next Gen, and scroll down to the events. You can register your kids today and get those dates on your calendar and dream of warm, sunny things. We'll see you soon.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed cracks in your drywall, chimney, or exterior walls? I hope not, because if you have, they could be indications that you've got a much bigger problem with your foundation. That's where Indiana Foundation Service comes in, a groundworks company. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to stabilize your foundation. Schedule your free inspection at indianafoundation.com/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for detail.
From a fast break to recovery, Indiana hospitals are here for every Hoosier, regardless of their ability to pay. That's why we're teaming up with legislators on a winning playbook to lower costs and protect access to care across our communities. Because good policy doesn't leave anyone on the sidelines. Learn more at HoosierLifeline.com.
Paid for by the Indiana Hospital Association.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical bills. Life insurance can even pay for college. And if you own a business and you die, life insurance can help your business from collapsing. It can even help cover estate taxes. Life insurance has never been more affordable and needed. Plus, you can always shop around even if you have a plan and save some money. So call the Life Insurance Quote Line right now for free pricing information.
800-917-8730. 800-917-8730. 800-917-8730. That's 800-917-8730.
You want to listen all day to WIBC, but you don't always have time. Don't worry. There's a podcast for that. The WIBC Mashup. Daily highlights from your favorite hosts, Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, and Hammer and Nigel. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Rob and I were talking about this yesterday in our office while we were eating pizza.
They don't give us any money around here. Once a month, they give us pizza.
Mm-hmm.
That's really
You had cake, too.
It's really their thank you to us.
Mm-hmm.
Is they're like, congratulations. By the way, did you see the ratings?
I did see the ratings.
We're number one.
WIBC is number one.
The radio station. Not only is our show number one, but the WIBC, the phenomenal ratings book. And I was thinking about this during when I was looking at the ratings. Obviously, so the ratings are a month behind. So this was for the month of February.
Yeah.
And if you look at, we exploded. We're almost always number one or number two. It's us and those bastards at B1057 that we're usually fighting for number one and number two.
Yeah.
And if you look at across the country, we're doing something that no other radio station is doing. Our market share, as they call it, is simply off the charts as a talk radio station compared to other talk radio stations, certainly in major metropolitan cities throughout the country. And that is a tribute, 100%. To you, our very
audience.
loyal, fabulous, amazing, just amazing audience. But if you look at the explosion we had in ratings the month of February, the property tax discussion kicked off in earnest, and the hearings on Senate Bill 1 kicked off in earnest. And I think that should be a message to these lawmakers, not that they need more affirmation of how engaged society is on this property tax discussion.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, it's driving the conversation across the state now.
I mean, we're doing numbers that you don't see anywhere else in this country, and you look at what was the focal point of conversation in the month of February. It was the property tax discussion. Anyway, what are we doing? What's going on?
Well, our radio audience has audio radiance, that's for sure.
That's
Let's
true.
talk about that thing with Donald Trump. This is a signed cover of the House report from his 2019 impeachment, and it is now up for auction.
Oh, who's auctioning it?
The auction is being handled by Alexander Historical Auctions, lot 1,000. Okay, so the document, it's believed to be only one of 3 copies, which is signed by Trump. The opening bid for the item is set for
$1,000.
$3,000.
Whoa, wow.
Yeah. They expect its value is going to go up between $6,000 and $8,000. However, there has been a similar signed copy which previously sold for $80,000.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Trump's signature is not rare. So they're usually in autographed memorabilia, it is 2 things: the scarcity of the signature and the item that is signed. Trump's signature is not rare.
Correct.
So in this case, it would be the item itself, which is signed and you said there are not many known to exist that were signed.
Yeah, it's only one of 3, so that makes it rare.
All right, when we come back, one of the there's a fabulous new email that went out from one of these poor singing orphans in local government, and I'm going to do a dramatic reading of how the children, we're back to using children as human shields in Hamilton Southeastern.
Yep, it's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
It's tax time, and tax time is your time to buy a new Nissan and get double your tax refund or down payment only at Andy Moore Nissan of Indianapolis. For a limited time, when you buy any new Nissan, Andy Moore Nissan will double your tax refund or down payment up to $5,000. That means your $1,000 becomes $2,000. Your $2,000 becomes $4,000. Your $4,000 becomes $8,000. This month only, Andy Moore Nissan will double your down payment up to $10,000. Worried about your credit? Don't sweat it. Good credit, bad credit, even no credit. Our credit experts will get you approved with the best terms, with as little as $0 down on any new Nissan in stock. Andy Moore Nissan is making deals other dealers won't and approving deals other dealers can't. Andy Moore Nissan, 4302 Lafayette Road, Indianapolis, Indiana.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code YEAR to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code YEAR for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code YEAR for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
The deals and specials are sizzling hot. It's the Central Indiana Gun and Knife Show this Saturday and Sunday at the Stoutfield National Guard Armory on West Minnesota Street. The best dealers in the region, hundreds of tables, just $6 for adults, kids 12 and under free. Must be 18 or accompanied by an adult. Buy, sell, trade this Saturday 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Stoutfield National Guard Armory. For more info, visit CentralIndianaGunShows.com.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
It's dent season, the time of year Mother Nature decides to take out her aggression on your vehicle. Don't paint your car, go PDR with Kill a Dent Removal. PDR is paintless dent removal that saves your factory finish and is way less invasive than traditional body shop repairs. And it's faster too, sometimes same day. Google Kill a Dent Removal and check out the reviews and photos. Then schedule your repair. When Mother Nature throws a tantrum and messes up the look of your vehicle, don't paint your car, go PDR with Kill a Dent Removal.
Only two things in life are certain, death and taxes. How about one more? Switch from Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile to cut your bill in half with Pure Talk. For just $25 a month, you get unlimited talk, text, 5 gigs of data on America's most dependable 5G network. Making the switch, it's simple, fast, and easy. You dial pound 250, you say the keyword Pure Talk, and make the switch. You do it now, you save an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, wireless, by Americans, for Americans.
Coming up in a couple of minutes from the Technology Recyclers Studios, there are FBI raids going on right now in Carmel. There's some rough weather that is going to touch down this weekend, and what a work crew discovered in Bloomington. After Fox News, and you're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis on a Friday morning. It's 10 o'clock.
2 American trips to 2 strategic locations. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. One is near China, the other closer to Russia. In Greenland, where Vice President Vance, his wife Usha, and the National Security Advisor are flying now, as President Trump keeps pushing for the U.S. to take control of Greenland.
The stop at this Bidufik space base is going to be the headline of the trip. It's located about halfway between the United States and northern Russia, so it is as important as anywhere on this planet for missile warnings and missile defense and whatever classified stuff they have going on in space.
Fox's Peter Doocy at the White House. Russian leader Vladimir Putin wary of all this?
Putin watching this and saying, we will not allow encroachments on the sovereignty of our country, and we will reliably protect our national interests.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is in the Philippines, a U.S. ally in the Pacific, saying we need to reestablish strength and deterrence to deal with Chinese aggression.
President Trump seeks peace. That's my message here as well. But in order to bring that peace, we will be strong.
This has more suspected American airstrikes target Houthi militants today in Yemen, weeks after the deadly attacks on those rebels who've been disrupting global shipping. A controversy still simmers over a Signal group chat with top U.S. officials discussing that military action. A journalist was mistakenly allowed in to see all the messages that a federal judge has ordered be preserved as Democrats demand a full investigation. There's an earthquake disaster in Burma and Bangkok, Thailand.
Suddenly, I started feeling that the earth is shaking.
There was a lot of screaming and panicking, which obviously made it a lot worse.
A building under construction in Bangkok collapsed, killing at least 3 people. Crews are searching for dozens of people missing under the rubble. And there are images of widespread damage in Burma, where the 7.7 magnitude quake is centered. The military government there has not confirmed reports of numerous deaths. A new report out on inflation this morning shows a slight increase in the closely watched core annual rate of what are called personal consumption expenditures. And there's a sell-off on Wall Street. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
What the FBI is up to. Your radar is clear in downtown Indianapolis, where it's 56 degrees. Your high today, 79. I'm Ryan Hedrick. Here's what's trending at 10:02. There are a number of federal raids going on right now in Carmel. The FBI is telling WIBC News that they're raiding several locations because they're court-ordered. More as we get it. Rain, hail, and tornadoes are possible this weekend. Jason Puma at the National Weather Service talks about a timeline.
The main window that we'll be looking at for severe weather on Sunday really will be in the afternoon hours, say after 2 o'clock into the evening hours through about 9 p.m.
And Puma says it'll rain off and on Saturday into Sunday and then intensify on Sunday. Bones found in Bloomington. That's what the cops say happened when a land clearing crew discovered what looked like to be human bones in a wooded area of West Akoff Road. Bloomington police, forensics experts, and Monroe County coroner's officials are working to learn more. The remains have not been identified yet, and the investigation continues. Cars stranded and businesses closed following a water main break Thursday. And there's still a boil order in effect this morning for thousands of people on Indy's east side.
We believe it was a 36-inch water main, which is, like I said, one of the largest in our system. It's a transmission main that goes to a lot of different neighborhoods on the east side. That's why you're seeing so many of those east side neighborhoods impacted.
That's Ben Easley, a spokesperson for Citizens Energy Group. Community East Hospital didn't have water as of late yesterday. A now former teacher in northern Indiana accused of abusing a student with special needs. Here's Chris Davis.
The accusations include repeatedly putting the Eastwood Elementary School student in headlocks and force-feeding him and taking away his communication device, which is the student's only way of communicating. Elkhart Community Schools says the teacher has resigned. The accusations first came out in March, and the family of the student found out because of a Child Protective Services investigation that was initiated by the school. The district says they can't say a whole lot because it's a sensitive matter and an ongoing investigation. But the proper authorities are now involved, and they're determined for it all to come out. Chris Davis, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
And the Indiana Pacers could not miss a shot last night. They scored 162 points against the Wizards, a night after being beat at the buzzer by the Lakers. 9 players hit double figures for head coach Rick Carlisle.
It's obviously fun to watch when you're coaching the team making all the shots, but there was a spirit of unselfishness, which is really what Indiana's about.
And Indiana is in a tight race for home court advantage in the playoffs. They play the Oklahoma City Thunder on Saturday. I'm Ryan Hedrick on the level, on the go, and at WIBC.com. Kendall and Casey continue next right here on 93 WIBC.
You love spring in Indy, but you hate to paint, so do what Judy did. She called Rhino Shield.
The house that Rhino Shield did for my husband and I, after having the house painted with kind of usual house paint, I was seeing cracks appearing about every 3 years and just wasn't very satisfied with that.
Rhino Shield's a ceramic coating specifically formulated for our unique climate.
I can't speak highly enough about the Rhino Shield crew. They also were great at working with me to get the exact right color because I was very particular.
Indy, you too can have the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield right now for 15% off the regular price.
I would not hesitate to call Rhino Shield, and I am just thrilled to recommend Rhino Shield to my friends and neighbors and family.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Casey, the poor singing orphans of local government are back at it.
That's true. We've got an important message to share with everyone.
This time it's the Using Kids as Human Shields club who's back in the game. I mean, isn't it amazing how... I hope out of this conversation about property tax relief that it has put front and center how just disgustingly pathetic these local government people are and how they are willing to use anything as a human shield to get their way. In the case of the mayors, it's the police and firemen.
Correct.
And in the case of the school people, it's your children.
It's the children or the libraries.
It is like the level of pathetic of these people, and they have no shame. They're willing to show their face in public, and no matter how many times they get completely refuted or proven incorrect, they just keep at it.
Yeah. So the Democrats in the House, they came out with a new proposal for property tax relief, which we're going to get into in just a bit. But
I'm sure it's just putting your financial stability front and center, no doubt.
They're looking out for you. Of course they are.
So the superintendent from Hamilton Southeastern sent out some email that a bunch of people have sent to me, and his name is Pat Mapes. And anytime I see this guy's name, anytime I hear the name Pat Mapes, this is what I think of.
Who invaded Spain in the 8th century?
That's a joke. The Moors.
Oh no. I'm so sorry, it's the Moops. The correct answer is the Moops.
Moops? Let me see that. That's not Moops, you jerk. It's Moors. It's a misprint.
I'm sorry, the card says Moops.
Okay. Yeah, so anytime I see the name Pat Mapes, I think Pat Moops. All right, should we do a dramatic? Okay, so keep in mind, Senate Bill 1 in its current form.
Yeah.
Because he references it. That's key, right? Senate Bill 1 in its current form, other than unless you're a very old, not very old, but unless you're an elderly person or a disabled vet, has no actual property tax relief for you.
Right. Well, it was supposed to, but that was taken away.
Scott Baldwin took that out.
Yeah.
Because that was potentially going to interfere with local government entities who his company Envoy has big contracts with, and he wasn't going to do that. So he and his buddies took that out.
Right.
So in its current form, unless you're elderly or you're a disabled vet, there's no actual property tax relief. All it does is control the growth, the rate, the property tax increases. So it's important to remember that when he talks about cuts here in a minute, you remember the only people getting property tax relief, when he's talking about cuts, he's talking about increases he won't get for the most part.
Right.
All right. Okay. So let's remember that. All right. Here is the message sent to the residents of the Hamilton Southeastern School vicinity by Pat Moops, the superintendent. I'm sorry, Mapes. That's Mapes. Okay, Kev, are you ready?
Typo.
Yes. Dear HSC families and staff. Our commitment to providing a world-class education for all students is at the heart of everything we do at Hamilton Southeastern Schools. But right now, we face a critical challenge. Pause.
Critical.
He's acting as though it's some sort of
life or death.
Like it's like an Independence Day where Bill Pulliam gets up there and is giving the speech to take on the aliens. That they're facing a very critical challenge. Humanity, the future of humanity hangs in the balance. All right, go ahead. The Indiana General Assembly is in the process of setting the state budget for the next 2 years. And proposed legislation could have a significant impact on public schools. Senate Bill 1 in its current form would cut $10.7 million from our operational budget over the next 3 years. Pause. There's no way that helping some senior citizens and disabled vets in the Hamilton Southeastern School District is going to cut $10.7 million.
Yeah.
Now, you mean you're not going to get, just like with that trustee
from Lafayette
who said we're going to lose firemen, and they were asked, are you going to fire firemen? No, we're just not going to be able to hire.
Correct.
So by cutting off the increases, you might not get the $10.7 million extra that you were planning on getting. But listen how they word that, right? Okay, because other than the elderly and the disabled vets, no one's getting any actual property tax relief under Senate Bill 1.
Right.
Yeah, but he's upset about it. Okay, right, go. These reductions could lead to fewer academic programs. Increased class sizes. Pause.
Yeah. How increase class sizes? Because property taxes only pays for the building and the operations, not the actual staffing.
Right. Remember, when you got property tax caps in 2008, they raised the sales tax to pay teachers. Sales tax went from 5% to 7%, and that is the way it operates to this day. So how would your class sizes be increased? What teachers would be fired if people get property tax relief? Since property taxes, we'll get to that with Hamilton Southeastern in just a second about
Okay.
All right, ready, go. And staff reductions.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Directly affecting the learning experience of our students. Pause. Okay, now the kids are the human shields, right? Now we've gone from police and fire, if the mayors, now the children are the human shields. Go. While these cuts are being presented as property tax relief, they come at a significant cost to public education. Pause. So the cost to public education is we're not getting increases.
Correct.
They're being presented like they're acting as though, first of all, you're not even getting any relief. 90% of the population is, oh man, I almost said it. It's rhymed with stick. You're not getting stick. I almost said it, Casey. 90% of the population is getting stick when it comes to property tax relief. All right, very good. Go. As a district, we have always worked within our financial means and have been responsible stewards of tax dollars. Pause. Hamilton Southeastern has a school referendum. Within your means, as defined by the property tax caps, would be within your means, but they have a referendum. So, no, you haven't worked within your means.
Right, because the referendum means they're asking for more money.
Go. Ensuring that every resource is used effectively, efficiently to support student success. We believe public schools are a vital investment in our community's future, and we are actively engaged in conversations with legislators to advocate for responsible solutions that support both tax relief and strong schools. Pause.
They're engaged in conversations with legislators. You mean you went to the hearings and complained and said, we can't do this?
But wait a second. How do you get to engage in conversations with legislators? They won't return our listeners' emails or phone calls. They didn't come engage in conversation with us at the property tax rally. So this guy's admitting he's got access to these legislators that they're not giving to you.
And he's getting paid to do it,
That's
Rob.
right. They're treating him better than treating you. Okay, go ahead. Now we need your help. In previous budgets, lawmakers have prioritized public education. Pause. The current budget has like $22 billion.
Half of it.
In allocation to public education. The new budget has big increases again. We've laid those out. What is prioritizing public education? This is always the thing. What's the number? What's the number, Mr. Moops? What are you laughing at?
How much do you need? You need more?
Tell us the number. They'll never tell you the number because apparently 22 billion.
Not
and
enough.
now there's increases on that. That's not prioritizing public education. Go. Our students and staff deserve the same commitment now. Pause. What is the number that is
Half
commitment?
of the budget. That's not commitment?
You're looking at a $47 billion budget, which means like $23.5 to $24 billion will be sent to. Yeah, what is that? I love that. Our students and staff deserve that same. You don't deserve anything. You work for us. You exist because of us. You know who deserves something? Us. Because we paid out the ass year after year after year after year, while you, Mr. Moops, like some greedy piggy at a trough, have 8 and 8 and 8 and 8. Go. We encourage you to reach out to your state legislators and ask them to find a way to provide tax relief without jeopardizing the future of our schools. Pause.
You're going to have to shut them down, Rob.
These people are pathetic. Mr. Mapes Moops, Pat Mapes, Pat Moops, Pat Mape Moops. You're disgusting. You are a disgusting human being that you are saying this stuff, that you are putting this in an email, that you are using children as human shields so that you don't have to have any sort of fiscal accountability whatsoever. That's what this is about. And you will say or do anything to try to scare parents into giving you what you want. Go. Thank you for your continued support. HSE Schools is what it is today because of our engaged community and your commitment to ensuring the best possible education for all students. Sincerely, Pat Moops, Superintendent. Pause.
But then on the bottom, how to take action. Click here to find your legislator or contact them directly by using the list below. All of their names, all of their phone numbers.
So think about this. This guy is using taxpayer resources to advocate for a political position, which is what he's doing. This is the crap why the referendums pass all the time. We talked about this in Brownsburg. Unless you've got Rob Kendall in your community, this is what they did in Brownsburg. They paid all that money to that consultant, and they used taxpayer money to do that. $60,000 out of the gate. They started with the lead. Then they get all this political action money that comes in. They form these political action committees with people who are construction people who may or may not get the bids right on the projects that are going to go up, right? This is what you're up against, where this guy is using taxpayer resources.
And the school's database, Rob.
To send this letter out to people and advocate for what is a political position, and he is lying out of his butt cheeks.
Yeah, did he say in there anywhere how SB1 has been gutted?
No, of course not.
No.
Of course not. Does he say anywhere when he's telling people to call Scott Baldwin about how Scott Baldwin runs a company that is a multi-billion-dollar company that makes huge money off government construction contracts? Does he list that anywhere?
No.
No, of course not. So if Pat Mapes Moops wants to have a conversation about this, if he wants to man up, if he doesn't want to use kids as human shields, why don't you come in here, Pat? Why don't you come in here and let's have a conversation about what's going on? Why don't you come in here, Pat, and we'll have a conversation about your email? Why don't you be a big tough guy and say that right to my face, and let's see where that goes.
And part of this is, people are going to get this email who are not actively engaged, and they're going to take his word for it. They're going to buy every single word of that because they're not active listening or intricately involved.
Absolutely. And they keep getting away with it. And that's why places like Hamilton Southeastern are the same people who they just passed another referendum, and they sold it to the community. They said, we're cutting your taxes. What do you mean you're cutting my taxes? You have a referendum that's above the tax cap. Well, the new referendum isn't as big as the last one.
Right.
So we're cutting your taxes. Now, why don't you go shut up and throw us a parade? These people are disgusting.
You're listening to Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Matt Bear knows how to break the traffic press.
I-70 is packed tight. There's a blue Chevy trying to drive the lane, but it's facing tough D from the semi.
Matt Bear sees the openings, finds the best routes, and keeps you moving.
Watch out. 465 Construction is using a wicked zone with cones blocking the right side, forcing everyone into the middle.
Matt Bear traffic.
Complete gridlock in the paint.
Navigating traffic madness.
Fast break on I-69. Hit the gas.
Mornings and afternoons on 93 WIBC.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
The April 15th deadline to file the FAFSA is fast approaching. When you complete the free application for federal student aid, you help your child access Indiana's nearly $400 million in financial aid, including programs like the 21st Century Scholarship. It also determines your student's eligibility for federal grants and scholarships for college or certificate programs. Visit studentaid.gov to get started. For complete information, go to learnmoreindiana.org/FAFSA. Paid for by the Indiana Commission for Higher Education.
Spring's here and it's time for a new patio. Indy Decorative Concrete is offering free demolition. Offer ends April 30th. Visit IndyDecorativeConcrete.com for details.
You want to ruin Mapes Moops' day?
Sure.
I think we should. That letter was that gross that we just read that we should give him a piece of his own medicine. Because we did this with the Westfield guy.
Yeah.
And how'd that work out?
Everybody reached out to him. So he's asking the parents of his students to reach out to legislators. So why don't we ask our listeners to reach out to him?
Right. So Pat Mapes Moops, who's the superintendent out there at Hamilton Southeastern, we just read the letter last segment. You can go back and listen to it if you want. He sent this disgusting letter out to the parents of the children that he oversees in the Hamilton Southeastern School District, basically trying to convince him that the world's going to end if you get property tax relief, and that Junior and Johnny are going to end up in one-room schoolhouses, and that everybody's going to suffer, and blah, 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 blah. So should we give out his email address and have people bombard him with emails?
This is his work
That's
email?
Correct. Yes,
Public
that's right. Yes,
email?
Yes. And the phone number. Maybe we should do that, too. All right. So should we do that? You want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got
and
it?
you should email this guy and let him know what you think, whether your kid's in Hamilton Southeastern or not, because we did this to the Westfield guy and it worked. Because they need to know. Guys like Pat Mapes Moops need to know how disgusting what they're doing is. And they need to know that you're paying attention to it. And just take 2 minutes to send this guy an email. Or we'll give out the phone number to the office, too. I'm sure the secretary would love to hear from you. And let him know what you think. Yeah. Let him know what you think, that he doesn't think you deserve any property tax relief because he doesn't want to do his damn job.
So these are public email, public phone number.
Listed on their website.
Okay.
All right, so the email they've got listed here is PMAPES, so PMAPES, PMAPES at hse.k12.in.us. We'll give that out a couple more times. PMAPES at hse.k12.in.us. That's Pat Mapes Moops' email, the superintendent of Hamilton Southeastern, who sent out that gross email where he's trying to make sure you don't get your money.
Well, it's fear-mongering. These reductions could lead to fewer academic programs, increased class sizes, and staff reductions. That's not what property taxes pays for.
No. But in which programs? Which programs are you going to cut, Mapes Moops? Which program? Why don't you tell us which program you're going to cut? And of course they won't tell you that because it's the fearmonger. It's the fearmonger to make you believe that your kid is going to be in some sort of mortal danger if you get some sort of property tax relief, or if your neighbor gets some sort of property tax relief, and they want to turn communities against each other. So what they do with these referendums, they gut communities, they turn people against each other because they're selfish and they don't want to do their job. So if you want to tell Mapes Moops what you think of him, again, his email is Mapes, PMAPES, at hse.k12.in.us. PMAPES at hse.k12.in.us. Now, if you want to call, I got his phone number here, too, if you want to call.
Yeah.
317-594-4100 is what they list on the district website.
Okay.
317-594-4100, 317-594-4100. I'm going to send him an email here in just a minute. Everybody should. Don't let these people get off the hook with this stuff. If someone, there's a famous line from a play. If someone hands you some garbage, you got to stick it right back in their face. And that's what this guy is doing. He is handing you garbage and going, eat this, and you got to shove it right back in his face. These people are disgusting.
Said, as a district, we've always worked within our financial means. That's true. Why do you have a referendum?
Exactly. And
that's not working within your financial means.
And I'm going to invite Mr. Mapes Moops to come on this show. And let's have don't use the kids as human shields. Man up. We'll have this very adult conversation for the world to hear. We'll get to the bottom of how HSE's spending their money, and we'll talk about property tax reform.
Should we invite him the same day that we invite Secretary of State Diego Morales?
Yes, by the way, we should put that out there. That
Have a real banger of a show.
Diego Morales has a standing invitation to come and answer all of these questions about his trip to India. We would love nothing more than to get to the bottom of this.
Well, you're the man.
And that's right. And by the way, Mapes Moops, we're the #1 rated radio show in Central Indiana. Our station is #1. If this is a calamity for humanity, as you're posting about, you will not find a bigger, more engaged audience to hear this horrible story about what's going to happen to Hamilton Southeastern. So, well, that's good. I feel better. I got that off my chest.
Okay, so Democrats in the House, they presented a new proposal for property tax relief. They're calling it Back to Basics, Rob.
Oh, so we're going back to like actual 1%, like none of this inflation, no assessment spikes.
Well, highlights of their proposal is a 1% annual cap on property tax increases for seniors 65 and older.
Wait. So no actual relief. You're not getting any cuts. We're just, if you're above a certain age, we'll limit how much your thing can go up.
Yeah.
So they are adopting the Thompson plan for a very small group of people of decreasing the increase.
They have a $5,000 renter deduction, up from the previous $3,000.
Why?
Additional tax relief for
Wait. Let's go back to that.
Okay.
Why is a renter better than me? Why am I being punished for being a homeowner? Why would a renter get a deduction? Where's my deduction? Where's my deduction? Why is a renter better than me? Oh, there is no answer for that. It's called legalized vote buying, Casey.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Why? Because their voters tend to be renters. That's the answer to your question. Go on. Go ahead.
Additional tax relief for disabled veterans. and also a $25,000 down payment assistance program for young home buyers.
Oh, well, that's really going to decrease housing prices, isn't it, Casey, if we're handing people $25,000 and going, here's $25,000. I'm sure that won't be passed on to the rest of us in terms of increased housing prices, which means what? Which means the assessments will go up, which means I'll pay more taxes. So the Democrat plan... Let me make sure I understand this.
Okay.
The plans just keep getting worse. Have you noticed this?
I do.
Like, Ron's plan was a pretty good plan. Like, we started with a simple 46-page, pretty good plan. And then the Senate plan was 100-plus pages, and it was way worse. And then Thompson's plan in the House was 200-plus pages, and it was way worse than that. And now the Democrat plan, I don't know how many pages this is, but it's even worse. We're going in, it's planes, trains, and automobiles. You're going the wrong way. You're going in the wrong direction. You're going to kill somebody. So the Democrat plan, let me make sure I get this straight. No actual property tax relief.
No.
Only rate increase caps for people over 65. If you're a renter, because you're part of their voter base, more likely, you get an extra deduction. And then if you're buying a home for the first time, they're going to give you $25,000, which is going to raise everybody's assessment because that's going to drive up the prices, which means I'll pay higher property taxes.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the Democrat plan.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
I'd like to point out my plan, which took less than 4 minutes, which you can see, WIBC.com, other places. I was able to put that, I think it was on 2 pages, right?
Yeah.
My plan was on 2 pages.
It was.
Yes.
And took less than 3.5 minutes to vocalize.
Gosh, these people, Casey, they're the level of stupid of these people.
Hey, Rob, they go 4 weeks. 4 weeks. 4 weeks to figure it out.
You know who's a national treasure is Ryan Hedrick.
Yeah, he's up next with the news on 93 WIBC.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-457-6060. That's 1-800-457-6060. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-457-6060. That's 1-800-457-6060.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
Who Indianapolis police are looking for. You have a clear radar on Monument Circle where it's 60 degrees. Your high today is 80. I'm Ryan Hedrick. Here's what's trending at 10:31. 2 teenagers who Indianapolis police say are part of the Mexican mafia gang that sold drugs all over Indiana are wanted. Police say they were selling guns and dope through social media. Severe weather is likely Sunday, but that could change, says Jason Puma at the National Weather Service.
That timing could get shifted 3 to 4 hours one way or the other, but as we get closer, we'll be able to pin that down a little bit better.
And Puma says you could see hail and tornadoes as part of this system. There was a big earthquake in Bangkok today. And what you're hearing is a skyscraper implode. Luckily, nobody was killed. It was 7.7. That was the magnitude of the earthquake. A 6.4 aftershock followed. So far, only 3 people have died. Vice President J.D. Vance and his wife are visiting Greenland today. Vance and the second lady are headed with a delegation that includes National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. And New York Republican Elise Stefanik will remain in office after President Trump decided to take back her nomination for U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. I'm Ryan Hedrick on the level, on the go, and at WIBC.com.
Hey, this is Spencer Thompson at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. Are you wanting comfort and half the price? Now's the time because Lazy Boy and Smith Brothers are 50% off with extra discounts for cash. Thinking about getting outside soon? Berlin Gardens and Pollywood Outdoor Furniture are up to 20% off during the early season sale. Hurry in to Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. Sale ends Monday with free delivery.
Recent talk about rising interest rates and economic uncertainty may have you wondering if now is the right time to sell your home. Will I get the price I need? Will it take too long? The good news, you don't have to figure this out by yourself. There's a friendly, no-pressure, experienced agent who eats and sleeps Indianapolis real estate, my friend Mark Dietl. Perhaps you're worried you won't sell your home for the price you need. Mark Dietl guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed-upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Crystal in Franklin had to say about working with Mark Dietl. I was moving to Kentucky and needed to move fast. I got the Mark Dietl marketing plan, was blown away. Plan worked. I got a full list price offer in the first weekend. Just like that, Mark and his team got it done. Call the local Indianapolis agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietl at 317-755-4232 for all the details, or go online to markdietl.com. It's markdietl.com. Tell him Rob sent you.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIPC. It's time to hear from you. Kendall and Casey present voicemails.
I sent my email. Would you like to hear my email that I sent?
Yes, I would.
Kev, can you cue up the love mail? So for those of you who have missed the previous couple segments, we have been very concerned about this horrific letter sent by Pat Mapes-Moops, the superintendent. What are you laughing about, Casey? Pat Mapes-Moops sent out just a horribly alarming letter to the residents of Hamilton Southeastern Schools, where he is the superintendent, basically insinuating that the world could be ending and children's lives and educations could be dramatically impacted if you get any sort of property tax relief.
You know what? I just noticed something else about this letter. He said Senate Bill 1 in its current form would cut $10.7 million from their operational budget over the next 3 years. So Senate Bill 1 in its current form is relief for those 65 and older and veterans.
Right.
So what? He doesn't even want them to have relief.
And the date of the letter, which has been sent to me by multiple people, is March the 27th. So this was not like it was sent, a month ago, right? So this would include the current form. Maybe Mapes-Moops is not aware of the current form. Maybe Mapes-Moops hasn't been keeping up on the gutting that Scott Baldwin did to protect government entities that the company that he runs, Envoy, has contracts with.
That's true. Which is shocking because he's the superintendent of a very large school district.
Well, that's right. Now, look, HSE's had all sorts of issues out there, and we don't have time to go in there. But we encouraged everybody. We gave out Mapes-Moops' email address, and we said everyone should send Mapes-Moops an email since he doesn't want you to have anything, and he wants you to keep getting screwed so that he doesn't have to be accountable. And that was pmapes@hse.k12.in.us. That's PMAPES at hse.k12.in.us. And just tell Mapes-Moops what you think of him and his little letter that he sent out. Now, I would like to read the letter that I had sent.
Got it.
Because we wanted to we want to walk, not just talk the talk. We want to walk the walk. So I've joined our audience in sending this email. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Mr. Mapes, many people passed along your email to the families of your school district about SB 1 and property tax relief. Casey and I would like to invite you to our #1 rated radio show to ask you some questions about the statements you made in your letter. Since you clearly have serious concerns about people being afforded relief from the skyrocketing increases they've suffered the past few years, and are throwing out very serious potential ramifications to children's learning, we have no doubt you would want to use our valuable platform to discuss.
Yeah.
We look forward to hearing back from you shortly on when we can welcome you to our program.
Right.
Thanks in advance.
Okay.
Rob Kendall.
That was very nice. Very professional.
Right? Mm-hmm. We're very excited.
I can't wait to hear him take you up on that offer.
We would love nothing more than Mapes Moops to accept that offer, come in here and say the things that he said in that letter right to us.
Or maybe it's just an opportunity to let him know that Senate Bill 1 has been gutted.
Yeah, maybe Mapes Moops didn't know.
Right. So either way, it could be a learning experience.
If you know Mapes Moops, and by the way, pmapes@hse.k12.in.us, send your email to him. Maybe you can let him know in your email that it has been modified, that everyone's still getting screwed so that he doesn't have to do his job.
Correct.
But if you know Mapes Moops out in the greater Fishers area and you see him today, you let him know what you think of that letter.
Let him, well, and also maybe let him know that they cut the rate reset out of Senate Bill 1.
Sure, absolutely. Maybe he's not aware. Anyway, go ahead. Yes.
So let's get to a couple phone calls. 317-684-8444. Yesterday, as the show was ending, we were talking about Jeff Bezos and his wedding plans to Lauren Sanchez and the exorbitant price tag involved with that.
That's right. He's got a super yacht.
Yeah, just used as a taxi service. They're not getting married on the super yacht.
Yes.
They're just using that to get from one place to another.
Yeah, sure.
And somebody wanted to call and talk about their wedding.
Hi, Rob. Howdy with the Heavy Natties. We're talking about weddings. Been married one time. Only going to be married one time. I'll die with this woman. But first-time wedding, planned, paid for everything myself in under 30 days for under $3,000.
Yeah.
And nobody had to pay for any rooms they stayed in. They stayed at my house.
Yeah.
Love the show. Love you guys. Have a good one.
Okay.
Yep.
So he got away with it on the cheap.
Yep. I did mine for $500.
Very inexpensive.
My wife is very happy.
In the backyard. You didn't you didn't have people coming from out of town.
No.
Right.
I barely had people coming from in town.
That's true.
I mean, okay. But honestly, at your wedding.
How many people were at your wedding?
I don't know. 15 max.
Okay.
That includes Micah, and he was the minister.
Oh,
preacher.
Right. Nice.
But at your wedding, how many people did you really want there? Like, how many people would you been like, I would be crushed if this person weren't at my wedding?
Yeah. Well, like I mentioned, my mom was the oldest of 6 kids, and my dad was the oldest of 5. So there were a lot of aunts and uncles.
I'm not asking that. I'm asking you. It's your wedding. How many people were there that you would have said, I would be crushed if that person was not there?
If I had to do it over again.
Like what number? Because that's what my wedding was. Now, I didn't know you very well at the time. We'd only worked together for a few months. You would be on the list now.
Right, because your anniversary is coming up. It was in the summer, right?
That's correct.
It was, June?
Yeah. Everything good happened to me in June. I got married and my daughter got born in June.
Right. So we had only known each other for like 2 months.
Right, and you could have bailed. Like the previous blonde-haired lady.
That's
so I
true.
didn't want to invest in you before I knew you were going to stick
exactly.
around.
No,
I would totally invite you now.
Totally understand
If I
that.
redo my wedding vows, you'll be invited.
You planning that?
But I mean, how many people max?
Oh, it would have been probably about the size of yours.
Right. And how many people were actually at your wedding?
I think it was around 100.
Yeah. So see, I mean, I'm not, and I don't mean this like in a callous way, but that's like if Doge had come to your wedding, Doge would have found about 80 people, and they're like, these 80 people don't need to be here.
If I had to do it now, I would have said, because my parents helped us pay for part of it, I would have said, I'll just take the money and use that as a down payment on the house.
Well, that was our theory. And my wife is a minimalist, like in terms of she doesn't need, clearly she's married to me, right? So she does not fancy big, important things, right? But I told her, I was like, well, and she agreed. So what are we, for what? Like, I mean, the goal is to get married. That takes all of about 10 minutes. And, we'll do the thing and then we're married, right? We're not big party people.
Right.
So we're out of here. And then we use that money to make extra payments on the house and things of that nature.
Invest in your future.
Right, investing in my future.
Yeah, exactly. Gert called us.
Gert's still alive.
I know. We haven't heard from Gert in a while.
Gert is one of our, I don't mean this in a callous way, but Gert is one of our oldest and dearest listeners. And we've long pondered what Gert's actual story is. We've come up with several possible life paths for Gert. And I don't even want to know at this point. The wondering is better than the truth will ever be.
So you were featured in an article written by Adam Wren.
Yes.
And
in Importantville, that is a subscription newsletter that covers Indiana politics and government.
And the article says how Rob Kendall became the most powerful talk radio show host in Indiana.
Yes.
It was a very complimentary article towards you.
He was way nicer to me than our management has ever been.
Right.
Yes, we should hire him as a hype man.
Right, exactly. He's your PR guy. But we went down kind of memory lane with WIBC and the history of this radio station during that conversation.
Yes.
And Gert wanted to weigh in.
Hey, Rob and Casey, it's Gert. Haven't talked to you for a while. Heard Rob talking about growing up listening to WIBC. Well, I did too. Only with me, it was Easy Glenn, Jim Shelton, and if my memory is halfway with me yet, maybe somebody named Jack Morrow. And I don't know if he was a news guy. I can't remember for sure. But the point is, I'm still growing up listening to WIBC.
And she is spot on. Now, now Gert is, Gert is somewhat dating herself. Now, did Gert ever, Kev, you known Gert longer than we have because she used to call the Home and Garden Show, right?
Yeah, she's a regular caller on the Home and Garden Show.
You were the producer over there.
Mm-hmm.
Has Gert ever actually revealed how old she is in all of our correspondence with her?
I don't think she has. I want to say that she's probably 90, but I don't know if she revealed that before. I don't know if maybe I'm just guessing.
Because Jack Morrow is a legendary broadcaster, and I was trying to look up what years he was at WIBC because he worked, I think, for a variety of radio stations, and he had a very, very long career. But he was at WIBC in the early 1940s.
Oh, okay.
You know, WIBC, as we mentioned, stands for Indiana Broadcasting Company. It's one of the original radio stations. That's why it's so legendary and so revered. And, I mean, he was at WIBC for a variety of years, and I think had multiple stays at WIBC. He's a Hall of Fame broadcaster. So Gert is, if she was a child in the 1940s.
She was listening to WIBC before she was watching television.
Yeah. There was no television.
Correct.
Yeah. Gert, how old are you? I think I would like to know that.
Yeah.
And you never ask a woman her age.
Right.
But I think Gert has danced around it to the point. We don't need I don't need a Gert origin story, but I would like to know how old.
I do.
I want to hear the origin story.
I want to know everything about her.
Gert, next time you call let us know. We'd like to know. All right, Hammer's next.
Yeah, it is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel show 3:06 this afternoon. It is Beer Sample Friday. We're going to have a good time and the championship of Hammer and Nigel Records Madness.
Hey guys, it's Rob for Save a Tree, the tree, shrub, and lawn experts. So a couple of weeks ago, called the guys from Save a Tree, said, man, my yard is looking rough after some tough winter weather. They said, let us come out, take a look at it, and give you some suggestions. Sean showed up. Sean was professional, he was friendly, he was on time, and now I feel like Save a Tree is going to help my yard look great after some tough winter weather. Save a Tree can bring your entire yard back to life. They're not just about trees. And the best part, you can sit in your home and relax while they do the work. We all want a great-looking lawn, but we know what a hassle it is to make that happen. That's where the pros from Save a Tree come in. See how beautiful your yard can be. Set up your own free evaluation at saveatree.com. That's SAVATREE.com. That's SAVATREE.com. Or you can just dial pound 250 on your smartphone and use the keyword Save a Tree. Save a Tree, the tree, shrub, and lawn experts. Tell them Rob sent you.
Indiana patients rely on many types of pharmacies to access their medications and critical healthcare services. But a proposal being considered in the Indiana legislature called SB 140 would disrupt access to medications for Indiana patients. SB 140 would impose government mandates blocking access to critical pharmacy options and services in Indiana. Lost access to pharmacy options would directly harm many of Indiana's most vulnerable patients, including patients fighting cancer and heart disease, many of whom rely on specialty pharmacies for their care. SB 140 would even hike costs for Indiana patients by imposing a $10 tax on every prescription filled in the state. That would often fall directly on the patient. Tell your state legislator, protect access to medications, reject higher costs. Put Indiana patients first by voting no on SB 140, paid for by conservatives for lower healthcare costs.
You wake up feeling like you just boxed 12 rounds. Some wake up sweating with sore jaws, headaches, and a lot of our patients complain of brain fog. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula, and these signs, often joined with snoring, are sleep apnea symptoms. And if this sounds like you may have been in a struggle last night. between you and this serious disorder. Many people aren't willing to fight back. But the fact is, you can't go through these nightly struggles without ramifications that each night chip away at your life's expiration date. I get it. You don't want to wear a CPAP mask. You may find out you don't need one. We have every effective sleep apnea solution available. And believe me, the mask is the last resort.
It's time to take action to stop your sleep struggle. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Results may vary. Most insurance accepted.
Garage Doors of Indianapolis is everything that's right about Central Indiana. They've been locally family-owned for 50 years, helping our local economy remain strong by employing 70 families. Garage Doors of Indianapolis is proud to do business right here in the great state of Indiana. They're a conservative-minded company that shares our values and stands by their products and services. You can call Garage Doors of Indianapolis today for service today. 875-4577, 875-4577, or visit doorstoday.com.
I'll say this. There are no entries in the Hoops Fan Hall of Fame who didn't show up to the game. Yes, you in the back.
Professor, March Madness is coming to Indianapolis. Are we ready?
You prepared to bring the fire? Give it 110 from tip to the final buzzer? Oh, you're ready. The NCAA Sweet 16 and Elite 8, March 28th and 30th in Indianapolis. Buy your seats today at ncaa.com/MBB tickets. Class dismissed.
Transform your home with Galaxy Concrete Coatings. Say goodbye to cracked, stained floors and hello to durable, stunning surfaces that last. Their cutting-edge technology ensures a beautiful finish every time, and you get to pick out from their many colors. Upgrade your home today like I did. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. They're for garage floors, driveways, pool decks, and patios. They come with a lifetime warranty and one-day professional installation. Call now for a free estimate. 877-417-0635. They're also online at galaxyconcretecoatings.com.
It's your last chance to get Disney Plus and Hulu together for just $2.99 a month.
Definitely a very smart move.
Get both and watch Star Wars Andor Season 2 and Mufasa the Lion King on Disney Plus.
There's a lot of stories with all of us.
On Hulu, it's the new season of The Handmaid's Tale and A Complete Unknown.
Give a warm welcome to Bob Dylan.
Don't miss your last chance to get Disney Plus and Hulu together for just $2.99 a month for 4 months. New and returning subscribers, 18 plus only. After 4 months, plan auto renews at $10.99 a month until canceled. Offer ends 3/30/25. Terms apply.
Addiction. It's hard on those who struggle with it, but those who love the addict need support too. Matt Baer and Ryan Hedrick provide help and hope with Supporting Sobriety. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on WIBC.com.
I've gotten to the point to where if this isn't the Joe Biden quote song, I'm upset.
When I was very young in radio, my mentor, Jay Baker, told me plagiarism is the greatest form of flattery.
Yeah.
And so I get it. Like, everybody steals something from someone, but this guy is just a blatant Bruce Springsteen ripoff. Like, it's a disgustingly bad attempt to be Bruce Springsteen.
Even their own Wikipedia page says that despite their success, they were ignored by major labels due to the persistent critical comparisons to Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band.
So that's John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band.
Yeah.
Made famous from the movie Eddie and the Cruisers.
Correct.
By the way, I'm Jason Hammer.
Hello,
Yeah.
it's Kendall Casey.
From the number one rated Hammer and Nigel
Whole
show.
damn station's number one.
Yeah.
Everybody,
You're
number one. You're number one.
You notice how they don't anymore? Nobody's listening. Remember, that was the rallying cry for a while, and now that just
Right.
that went away, yes.
But that song was the inspiration that Kev just came in with there for the Joe Biden quote song, which is awaiting opponent in today's national championship game of Hammer and Nigel Records Madness. So Joe Biden quote song has already punched its ticket. It's had one night's rest. It's awaiting the winner. Now, you have until 3 p.m. today to decide the opponent. And this one's kind of close. Right now, Nigel Tradition, which is the audio highlights of drunken Nigel being driven home by Rob after a bowling event.
That's right.
Performed by our pal Jeff Boggs, has a slight lead over Cocaine in the Ukraine.
Oh, those are all so good.
And look, I didn't want to tip the scales like we have in previous Hammer and Nigel Records events. I feel like we've put our thumb on the scale. We delivered Happy Birthday Velvet a couple times, and then once to the championship, and then to the finals.
You took Bavakwa and Tommy Lasorda to the finals.
I didn't want to do that this year. I just felt like let's have the people. But I would say it is an honor to know a trip with drunk Nige
could be in the championship game.
Could be making radio history.
I kind of feel like the Nigel tradition and the Biden quote song, they're of the similar vein. So that would be a more, good matchup.
Real audio of the individual is included in each song, right? Jeff Boggs sings Nigel tradition. I sing the Biden quote song, but it's the individuals, Nige and Joe Biden, that really carry it.
Now, can I just say, I heard this in the one of my favorite things is just to walk through the halls and then hear what's going on in your office without any context.
Right.
And I heard Micah praying, and I was like, is he doing an exorcism on your office? Like, what is going on in here? And then you got Micah to do the invocation for the finals.
So the big championship game is this afternoon at 4:35.
I just
Hammer
voted.
and Nigel Records Madness, and it comes with all the bells, pomps, and circumstance, right? We're going to have an invocation from Pastor Micah Beckwith, the Lieutenant Governor of Indiana. We're going to have the national anthem. We're going to have Back Home Again in Indiana. We're going to have a big starting lineup announcement, and then maybe even some pep talks for each individual song before we go and play the game. So it's going to be a big, fun afternoon.
You're right. I just voted, and they are close for today.
And I like that trip with Drunk Nigel as a sober person. I mean, it was so epic that it deserves to be. It's getting there. And Jeff Boggs did the song, right? Not Kenny Rogers?
Not Kenny Rogers, yes. It's a Hank Jr. inspired family tradition, but we call it Nigel tradition.
Yeah, and I just, it deserves to be there. So I'm glad it's getting some love from the listeners.
My favorite part in that song is he's on his way back from a bowling outing, and he says, I don't like bowling.
Like the random way he slurs certain words. I don't like to go places. BW Buffalo Wild Wings. It's so good.
I can't remember in the song where he tells me to turn left into a bunch of trees. Did that make it in there?
In his own neighborhood.
Right.
It's not like, he's somewhere in the country and he's not quite sure how to get back on the path to go home.
Yeah.
This was in his own neighborhood, and he tried to turn you into a forest.
I love how he's giving the sober driver advice on where to drive.
I've not had so much to drink.
The one mistake we made is I let him leave the bowling event too early, because think about it, I made him sit there for 10 minutes, and he would have been that drunk at the start of the event. Think of what we would have had by the time we'd have got to his neighborhood.
Oh, he would have been hog set level by the end. If you would have made him wait 10 minutes, you were getting very close to, I ain't running for nothing.
Right?
Running from something.
Favorite part was when we got home and we shut the camera off. His neighbor is there, and his neighbor's clearly very busy. He's got some sort of event or something going on. There's a bunch of people at his house, and Nigel just keeps bugging him to come over as though Taylor Swift were at his house. You love Rob Kendall. What do you mean you're busy?
So what was the drop-off like? Was he in a shopping cart? You rang the doorbell and ran away?
It's Lindsay's problem now.
He kept throwing money in my passenger seat to pay me for the ride. I was like, Nigel, you paid me $100 to go. Hey, you're going to get something nice. You got to go way out of your way.
That's great.
So that is leading Cocaine in the Ukraine, but it's close.
Yeah.
So you've got until 3 p.m. to get those last-minute votes in, and the national championship game, which we're going to give everybody the full weekend to vote on, and we'll announce the winner on Monday.
Sounds good.
And you and I, the bracket, not a lot of movement last night. You got that Texas Tech win, which I think put you ahead of me by a point or two. But tonight, I've got Houston winning it all, so it's a big game. For me,
I've got Michigan over Auburn, which this is my upset.
Well, this is really one of the deciders, because I've got Auburn going to the final. Whoever wins this one is really in the driver's seat in our bracket our bracket challenge.
Correct.
So I'll look forward to Auburn losing by 30.
Man, it's going to be fun downtown. A lot of passionate fan bases here. Like, Kentucky fans are going to show up in mass.
Yeah.
Tennessee fans travel well. Purdue fans are already here.
Right.
And we can all come together and boo and hate Kelvin Sampson.
Not if you have Houston winning the whole thing. I love you got the Micah to do the invocation for that. That's great. What's coming up this afternoon?
So the championship game at 4:35. We're going to do some arguments with Dan Levy at 3:35. Biggest stories in Indy and a whole lot of fun. It's Beer Sample Friday.
It's going to be a great show. Thanks, Hammer. It is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
That's are us. When dreams don't get in, that's are us.
Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel, plus low to no monthly payments. Call 765-545-BATH to schedule your free estimate or go to bathsareus.com. 765-545-BATH.
That's are us. When dreams don't get in, that's are us.
JV here for Sundown Gardens and Miss M's Home and Garden Nursery. Stock is arriving daily, and both locations are filling up. Come shop early and save 20% off all container trees and shrubs in stock now at both Sundown Gardens in Westfield and Miss M's Home and Garden in Bargersville. Their gift shops are full of spring color, too. Sundown Gardens at 186th Street and Spring Mill Road in Westfield. Miss M's Home and Garden on State Road 135, just south of Whiteland Road in Bargersville. Stop in and see them this week.
Zero Res. Get 3 rooms cleaned starting at just $119 plus $75 off air duct cleaning. Call 317-388-5141. Online at zeroresindy.com.
It's your last chance to get Disney Plus and Hulu together for just $2.99 a month.
Definitely a very smart move.
Get both and watch Star Wars Andor Season 2 and Mufasa the Lion King on Disney Plus.
There's a lot of stories with all of us.
On Hulu, it's the new season of The Handmaid's Tale and A Complete Unknown.
Give a warm welcome to Bob Dylan.
Don't miss your last chance to get Disney Plus and Hulu together for just $2.99 a month for 4 months. New and returning subscribers, 18 plus only. After 4 months, plan auto renews at $10.99 a month until canceled. Offer ends 3/30/25. Terms apply.
Reach your fitness goals in 2025 with a 20-minute once-a-week program at Exercise Inc. 5 locations now in Fishers. Visit exerciseinc.com.
When you're high, you feel different. But if you feel different, you drive different. So don't drive high. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Technology Recycler Studios after Fox News Radio. Severe weather happening over the weekend with rain in the forecast. A teacher resigning for abusing a student. You're listening to 93 WIBC. It's 11
I'm Dave
o'clock.
Anthony, Fox News. This time wanting the justices to lift a block on deportation flights under the Alien Enemies Act invoked to remove alleged Venezuelan gang members without hearings earlier this month. It's the 4th time the Trump administration has gone to the Supreme Court, appealing federal judges' rulings against the president's agenda. Republicans call that judicial overreach. Senator Ashley Moody tells Fox.
You cannot tie a leader, an American president's hands while they're trying to lead for the American people, especially as it relates to national security or foreign policy.
2 days ago, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem went to the jail in El Salvador housing those deported Venezuelans. Today, Noem's in Mexico.
With the pressure on President Claudia Sheinbaum to show progress on combating Mexican cartels in order to avoid President Trump's tariffs set to kick in on April 2nd next week. Now, Noem's meeting comes after she met yesterday with Colombia's leftist president, Gustavo Petro, who clashed with Trump back in January over deportations. Now there's a shift in the two countries' relationship with an agreement to share biometric data on migrants and a new partnership.
Fox's Griff Jenkins. Vice President Vance is on his way to Greenland along with the National Security Advisor and others visiting a U.S. military base in the Danish territory President Trump wants the U.S. to take control of.
We need Greenland for national security and international security. So I think we'll go as far as we have to go.
We have an update on that powerful earthquake that struck Burma. State TV in that military-run country now reports at least 144 deaths, more than 700 injuries, with images coming out of Burma showing a lot of destruction. That 7.7 magnitude quake also rattled Bangkok, Thailand.
This building was just moving, dust and debris. It was pretty intense.
And that building under construction collapsed, killing at least 3 people. Dozens of others are missing under the rubble. There's also damage in China. The quake felt a few thousand miles away. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. on the go.
Be on the lookout over the weekend. Partly cloudy and 65 degrees. I'm Jake McDaniel. Here's what's trending at 11:02. Expect severe weather coming this weekend, says Jason Puma with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis.
The main window that we'll be looking at for severe weather on Sunday really will be in the afternoon hours, say after 2 o'clock into the evening hours through about 9 p.m.
Puma says rain is in the forecast over the weekend. And now former teacher in northern Indiana is accused of abusing a student with special needs. Here's Chris Davis.
The accusations include repeatedly putting the Eastwood Elementary School student in headlocks and force-feeding him and taking away his communication device, which is the student's only way of communicating. Elkhart Community Schools says the teacher has resigned. The accusations first came out in March, and the family of the student found out because of a Child Protective Services investigation that was initiated by the school. The district says they can't say a whole lot because it's a sensitive matter and an ongoing investigation. But the proper authorities are now involved, and they're determined for it all to come out.
Library officials are excited to have kids back because the Indy Public Library Pike branch is finally going to reopen soon. Officials say they will celebrate all of their hard work with the renovations they did early Saturday at 10 o'clock at the library.
So like any library, we know that we're a community hub. We know people love to come here and just hang out and meet and talk to their neighbors while they look at books and talk to other, families and make connections like that.
Chief Public Services Officer John Helling talking to Wish TV. He says not only kids can come to the library to study and read, but they can also watch TV and play video games as well. Authorities found bones in Bloomington, and officers are looking into this. I'm Jake McDaniel on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. WIBC News Time at 11:04. Kendall and Casey coming back here in 1 minute.
This is the most exciting time of the year, and we want you to go all the way, even if your team doesn't. March on, Indiana, in a Hubler quality pre-owned vehicle. Shop any of Hubler's 13 locations and choose from over 2,000 vehicles, including Chevys, Fords, Toyotas, GMCs, Buicks, Nissans, Acuras, Mazdas, Hondas, and many more. All makes, all models, certified vehicles, luxury vehicles, even the hard-to-find ones. Every Hubler Q-certified vehicle is covered by a 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty, plus a 128-point vehicle inspection, and a free Carfax history report. Hubler's got you covered. Busted brackets not included. For over 2,000 vehicles, visit drivehubler.com or any of our 13 locations.
Hubler's got you covered. Cover me!
Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Casey, we have a new biggest a-hole in state government.
Oh, no. Really? 11 o'clock on a Friday?
It's an award we seem to give out sometimes by the week, sometimes even by the day.
Yeah, sometimes by the hour. Well, there's so many to choose from, Rob.
It's really it's just a strong competition amongst those, about 145 of the 150 people in the Indiana General Assembly. And today's award winner for the biggest a-hole in state government goes to Ed Soliday.
Okay, this is because he had something to say about the SMRs.
Okay, so Ed Soliday is a state rep from Valparaiso. He is also 993 years old. His actual age, I believe he will soon be 80 years old.
Okay.
He has been in the House of Representatives. This is his 19th year.
Okay.
And so do you catch a trend about these people who are the biggest a-holes? They're the people who are usually 9 million years old, and they have been there forever.
Is this one of the people that wants to set term limits on the federal Congress?
Oh, I'm sure he's for everybody but himself, right? Okay, so Ed Soliday has kind of been spearheading this initiative about something we talked about yesterday, which are these SMRs, these small modular reactors, which are basically these mini nuclear power plants. And guys like Ed Soliday are now waving their hands, screaming the sky is falling, because they have created an economic environment in which they have given away the farm, literally in some cases, because they have bulldozed family farms in order to make way for these data centers that require all sorts of power and water and electricity in order to power these things and provide them. So what happens here, what the state of Indiana has done under Holcomb, with guys like Ed Soliday being nothing but a rubber stamp as his face is implanted in Holcomb's butt cheeks, is they have time and again rubber stamped these mass incentives for these megacorps and these mega buildings to put these mega data centers, buildings, etc., in these, with these economic development freebies, basically giveaways, right? And now they're looking around going,
we don't have the electricity to do it.
Oh, gee, Beeve, somebody really should have thought about that. So their plan is that they want these small, because they're running out of electricity. We don't have enough electricity because they're giving it all to these. You don't have the ability to light your home in the future, but hey, at least the data center is going to have plenty, right? These foreign companies, foreign entities, foreign in the sense of not from Indiana, some cases actually foreign in the sense of they're not from this country, are coming into our state. Your life is getting harder, but hey, we can brag at the ribbon cutting about the bright, shiny object that's really not helping you at all. Okay, so he's pushing these small modular reactors, and one of the things, now a bunch of people got into this with me yesterday about, because I said the technology is sketchy, and they said some guy from the power company, he was very nice, he's a loyalist, he said the technology is not sketchy. I said, then why are they writing legislation that if the technological investment fails, the ratepayer is on the hook? If the technology is satisfied and there's no doubt this is going to work, then why is there language now being written
in the bill that says just in case?
Right, because what they are giving, what the legislature is doing, because the legislature creates through the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, IURC. I can't ever remember. It's IRUC or IURC. Anyway, they are the group that oversees utilities. Utilities are monopolies. You can't shop your utility. You can't use the power of moving with your, in terms of being able to compare and contrast. It's
right, you can't call around and get the best deal.
Right, thank you very much. So whatever your utilities can charge you whatever they can get away with charging you, and they have to go through the IURC, the Utility Commission decides whether you can raise rates. What the state is blessing through Ed Soliday, who is 993 years old, has been there since the earth was young, is they are blessing the ability of these utilities to invest in creating these SMRs, and whether the SMR succeeds or not, you the citizen will be on the hook for their investment in that through their being able to raise the rate you have to pay for electricity. So they're giving all the electricity away to things like LEAP, the LEAP district in Boone County, these data centers. All the electricity is being funneled to these data centers, which most of them are under tax abatement, so they're not going to pay their full freight for years. Many of them, which are eventually paying the full freight, will pay it in a tax increment finance district, which means the tax money is going to stay in that district and not go through to all the entities. So it's not benefiting you really in any way. And because of all the electricity and water that it takes to fund these, now these SMRs are going to power your home or power them so that you'll have electricity, and you're going to pay for that as a ratepayer. Did I simplify that?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
So these SMRs, they're nuclear reactors, right? They have an electric output of up to 300 megawatts, and they're unlike traditional reactors because they are engineered to be made in factories with components. And they say that that's a faster assembly, and it's also cheaper to make, and then they can just fit into current power grids.
And that's fine. I'm not mad about the technology. What I'm mad about is that the reason this has to happen and we're running out of power is because they're giving all of the power away to these mega corporations that come in here. And if it's a thing like in the LEAP district, you have no idea what's actually going on because they don't have to report it because the IEDC is a quasi-public, quasi-government entity. So yesterday, these bills, there's various bills that are being heard about this, and Ed Soliday is the champion. I think he's the author of at least one of the big ones, or a huge proponent. Bunch of people went to the state and were expressing concerns about, hey, there's a lot of transparency issues here. There's a lot of things we shouldn't have to be on the hook for. If the same thing I said, if the technology settled, why aren't they paying for it regardless? Why am I on the hook if the thing fails? There's no other business. Or if the thing fails. So a whole host of very polite, respectful people, taxpayer advocates, went to this thing and are voicing concerns on our behalf. You know how Ed Soliday described these people yesterday?
No.
He said, quote, according to the Capitol Chronicle, said, I'll just read it. But Ed Soliday, Representative Ed Soliday, the measure's author, said opponents, quote, want zero growth economy. Quote, if you don't want a growth economy, then vote against this bill.
Oh.
So what this guy's saying is that if you have concerns about how you're about to get screwed as a taxpayer, now it's technically as a ratepayer, but it's as a taxpayer because you don't have the option to shop around.
Right.
You're getting screwed as a taxpayer.
It's either use their product or don't.
And by the way,
and if you don't, you've candles.
If your utility serves a variety of different areas and they're investing in this, your rate's going to go up whether it's the area, if these data centers are in your area or not.
Right.
Everybody's going to get screwed with this. So what this a-hole's saying is that if you raise your hand and you say, man, I've got some serious concerns about transparency and about the language of this bill and about how we're on the hook for mega corporations, which are what utilities are. They're not running charities. They exist to make money for the most part. Most of these utilities exist to make money. And if you raise your hand and go, I'd like to see a lot more scrutiny to this. You know what he describes you as? You want a zero growth economy. This is what these guys always do. This is what a-holes these people actually are. That if you stand up, not even saying I'm technically against the technology or I'm against the idea of moving forward, I just have some concerns about how
why we're on the hook for it
right.
if it doesn't work.
They
oh, you don't want growth.
They minimize you. They belittle you. They dehumanize you. And they say, you want a zero growth economy. You don't want any growth. You don't want anything. This is what these guys do because they cannot stand the elitism of these people. They cannot stand to be challenged.
Okay, so SMRs are currently being used by the Navy, I believe, and they have been for a while. But there are no operational SMRs in the United States currently.
And if the technology settled, then why are the utilities
used on the ships?
Well, and if the technology's settled and this is fine, then why are the utilities so insistent upon being guaranteed that they can collect money from you if the thing fails? No one will answer that question. I have asked the utility guy who got lippy with me yesterday, and he seems like a fine guy, and he's a loyal listener, but I wholeheartedly disagree with him about this, and he couldn't answer the question. Take it out then. If it doesn't succeed, then you don't get to charge. And if these data centers and these mass mega developments are so great, then why are we on the hook? Why do we? No one will answer why everything keeps getting more expensive if all this development is so great. Everything goes up. Our property taxes have never been higher. We're not seeing massive decreases in income taxes. The only thing you're seeing is maybe if the state grows a certain amount, you get a fraction of a percentage. My utilities get more expensive every year. The electric, the gas, the water, the sewer, everything keeps getting more expensive, yet we keep getting told how great all of these developments are. They seem to only be great for the companies that are doing the developments.
Right. Isn't that something? And the planning on this has been atrocious since day one. It's like they are forcing this in no matter what. Don't have enough water. Well, we'll figure it out. Don't have enough electricity. Well, we'll figure it out. But it's coming no matter what. We don't have a whole lot of tenants. We've got one. We've got one that's guaranteed to be there.
And so it really does hit home to, and I'm looking this up because I want to get the details right on this, how we keep not doing the basics right, and yet we keep trying to do these bright, shiny objects. So I saw yesterday there was a report about the development related to I-65 and 70, I think it was, and they're planning to potentially build a sky bridge. Did you see this?
What, in the new construction?
Yes, and they're saying the cost of this could be $2.7 billion in the city for the. I mean, they'll probably get federal money, state money, whatever. And I simply responded to the article because this pertains to the city of Indianapolis. We probably should just fix the roads first. Right? I mean, it's the same thing with Red Line. We spent hundreds of millions of dollars, red, blue, purple. Our roads suck, our sidewalks suck, our bridges suck. But yet we're doing this mass transit thing because, oh, it's cool and it's forward thinking and it's forward moving and we're really hip. But a fraction of the populace is using this thing and yet we have all these things that everybody uses that we don't do anything with. And this is another example of this. Why don't we fund the things that work? Why don't we do the things that we do well rather than continually investing in these things that clearly are not paying off for the people who are here based on the fact that our stuff goes up and gets more expensive every year?
Right? It's like all the billions of dollars for the EV charging stations, and they've built one, and we're moving on from that. And the party that wanted those is now keying the Teslas anyway.
And it's the disdain from guys like Ed Soliday, who these people came. You read the testimony. They're very polite. They're respectful. They're, speaking in the order they're called on. They're professional. And that's all he can say to them. If you are an opponent of this, you want a zero growth economy. No, Mr. Soliday.
You're not allowed to question it, Rob. Sorry.
I want an economy that works for me and my family. No, Mr. Soliday. I want an economy that doesn't raise my taxes every year. I want an economy that's transparent, Mr. Soliday. Why don't you work on doing those things, and then we'll come back to this.
So the governor, Mike Braun, has appointed a new state's public access counselor.
Oh, no. Should we take a break and tell everybody who it is?
Yeah.
Because it pertains to you.
Kind of. Maybe. I don't know. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Life moves fast.
Another new directive from Donald Trump.
President Trump will not be deterred to make our federal government more efficient.
So does the news.
We expect those meetings to take place very soon.
Decisions made today.
I'm not a big fan of the Atlantic.
No threats to national security.
Could impact you tomorrow.
Accountability and transparency.
What's next?
You never know what's going to happen.
Need to know what happened.
We're already tracking it. Stay in the know while you're on the go on 93 WIBC.
Hey, it's Friday. That means Sunday's right around the corner. 2 days. In fact, you can math, right? And this Sunday, if you're looking for a new church home or even a first church home, check out the place we call home, Life Church. We love many things about Life Church, but one of the big things is the sense of community at Life Church. You're so much more than just a number. You're a member of a family. Many WIBC listeners over the years have found a home at Life Church. See for yourself why. We're entering the Easter season. Maybe you're feeling called to something different, a new church home, first church home, whatever the reason. You got nothing to lose. You got everything to gain. Life Church has 4 campuses across central Indiana, Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton. Great online services. Learn more on the web, lifechurchin.com.
Hey, Bill, where you been? You're overdue for a haircut.
Man, listen, my water pipes burst and flooded my house. Place a mess. I've been staying with my daughter till I can figure out what to do.
You trying to fix it and move back in?
No way. It's too big a mess. It'll cost me tens of thousands of dollars. I ain't got that kind of money.
You trying to sell it then?
Well, that's what I'd like to do, but who's going to buy my house in this condition?
Did you call Simple Quarters?
Simple Quarters?
Simple Quarters bought our house when we were in a jam. We needed to move real quick. They closed fast and gave us cash.
Simple Quarters will buy in any condition?
That's right. They buy as is. You don't have to repair anything or clean anything out. It's simple.
What do I have to do?
Just call them. They'll do a quick walkthrough, then they'll make you an offer.
Simple Quarters is a local Christian company that loves to help people in difficult situations. Call Simple Quarters at 317-900-HOME. That's 317-900-HOME. Check us out at simplequarters.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. Call 800-335-2299. That's 800-335-2299.
Spring's here and it's time for a new patio. Indy Decorative Concrete is offering free demolition. Offer ends April 30th. Visit IndyDecorativeConcrete.com for details.
Rob, yesterday, the governor of the great state of Indiana announced the state's new public access counselor.
Oh, now let's real quick let people know what the public access counselor is and why this is a big deal. So the public access counselor's job is essentially to be the referee between citizens and units of government and how they are required to be transparent. I'm summarizing a much more complex job, but that's it. So if a government is doing something that is not within the statute of how they're supposed to be operating, like a way they have a meeting or information they're not disclosing if you request it, you can go to the public access counselor, and the public access counselor will give an opinion on what the government should be doing. Now, he has no arrest authority, he has no legal authority, or now she in this case. And because our Republican Party here hates transparency so much, they got mad. Luke Britt was the previous public access counselor. He'd been there for a long time. They got mad about, not orders, that's not the right word, what's the word I'm looking for? He would issue statements, but their recommendations are, the word's escaping me. I've been here. I'm getting old. But anyway, the point is that, opinions. Yes, thank you. The public access counselor issues opinions, and he was issuing opinions that were making the state legislators mad on a couple of issues because he was siding with the people over them or governments. So they gutted what little authority he actually had. And so Luke Britt, in a much nicer way than I'm about to say, said, kiss both of my butt cheeks. I'm out of here. Screw all you people. So that left an opening for the position.
Right. So the governor has appointed a woman named Jennifer Ruby.
Who?
Jenny Ruby.
No way.
Longtime listeners of the show might remember that name.
You're lying to me.
No.
Her name is actually Jenny Ruby?
Well, her name is Jennifer Ruby.
Well, everybody knows Jennifer is Jenny.
Right.
So if you're new to this program, Casey grew up in Ohio. Casey went to school with Kirk Herbstreit, who is a famous
ESPN commentator.
Right. He was a football player, played at Ohio State, right?
Yep.
Casey was madly in love with Kirk Herbstreit, and her competition for for his undying affection was a girl by the name of Jenny Ruby.
Yeah, Jenny and I played basketball together.
And ultimately, he chose Jenny Ruby.
He did.
And now she's the inspector general. I'm sorry, not the inspector.
The new public access
counselor. I'm sorry.
For Indiana. Not the same woman.
Have you looked her up?
I did. I looked up a picture of her. I was trying to make sure. For sure I did.
We have to get her on our show.
I know.
What are the odds of that?
And they spell their name the same, too. There's two of them walking around among us. So, Jennifer,
we definitely know it's not the same one.
No, it's not the same one.
What are the odds, Casey?
I know. I saw the story that he was appointing this public access counselor. And I thought, okay, that may be worth a mention on the show. But then this morning, when the release came out and her name was Jennifer Ruby, I was, what?
Does it say what she'd done? Does it say anything about her?
She was an attorney and mediator for over 20 years, legal practice in Indianapolis. She served in New Mexico as well as Indiana and Indianapolis and Marion County.
And this is actually, it still is, and it's these lawmakers who gutted the position should be ashamed of themselves. They can't stand transparency. But this is actually a really important position because it allows citizens to be able to air grievances, and then a neutral... I mean, you said she had a career in mediation. Is that right? Yeah. I mean, that's what it basically is. It's like a neutral person should be coming in saying, with a no bias whatsoever, hey, based on the statute, Mr. or Miss Citizen, you're right, or based on the statute, Mr. or Miss Citizen, the government is working within the confines allowable to them. And so you need a non-political person. I always said the public access counselor, inspector general, and attorney general should all be non-political people who their only job is to enforce and uphold and interpret statutes written by the General Assembly.
So she said it was an honor being selected, and she is committed to upholding government transparency and accountability. I mean, it's good that somebody is in that position again. She stressed that public access is essential for effective governance, and her name is...
We have to get her. You have to reach
Jenny
out.
Ruby.
You have to reach out and get her on the show.
Jenny Ruby.
I'm putting you in charge of that this weekend.
Okay. Okay. Another thing that I wanted to mention was that yesterday, J.D. Vance, he's going to Greenland today, right? But yesterday, he was visiting Marines at Quantico, and he was emphasizing the importance of the Marine Corps and how it shaped his life and his career. You know, the vice president was a former Marine, right?
Yes, that's correct.
He said that military recruitment is back under Donald Trump.
Yeah, I always say that the most important thing that we have in this country, the most valuable natural resource, we got plenty of oil, we got plenty of natural gas, we got great mines and minerals, but the most valuable resource that we have in the United States of America is you all. It's young people who are patriotic and dedicated, who are willing to put on the uniform of the United States and risk your lives to defend your fellow citizens. That's an amazing thing. I know it's easy to forget when you go about doing your jobs and you're just worried about getting through the day, worried about, getting to the next week, worried about doing the good job that all of you do, that what you're doing is an amazing thing. And it's easy to forget that because, you don't always have the vice president dropping in to say thank you. But I want you to remember that whether you serve another couple years in the United States Marine Corps, whether you're at the beginning of a 20 or 30-year career, that we respect you, we thank you, and this vice president and the president of the United States know that you guys are the most important resource that we have in the United States Marine Corps, in the United States of America. So thank you all, and God bless you.
So there were 750 Marines that gathered, and he actually ate with them, and then he later tested some weapons systems. He was shooting off some guns. But something else that happened while he was there, another part of his speech became the latest Marines recruitment ad.
We care about excellence and we care about patriotism. And if you are awesome and you are a patriotic Marine, then we are going to do everything that we can to make you the most lethal fighting force the world has ever seen. And that is what we're doing every single day. No more quotas, no more ridiculous mumbo jumbo, no more diversity training. We believe the real strength and the real diversity in the United States Marine Corps is that you all come from every walk of life, come from every corner of America, and you have got the strength and the purpose to win the nation's wars, and that is what the Marine Corps is going to do, just like it's done for damn near 250 years.
So that was actual audio from his speech, and with ours, they took that audio and put some B-roll over it and a music bed, and there you go. That's the Marines' new recruitment ad. He was criticizing the woke ideology. He pledged to provide the military with the best equipment and support to ensure success on any mission. So Elon Musk and some of the Doge guys, they sat down with Bret Baier last night, and they were talking about some things that they have found while they've been working. I thought if we have time, we can share some of that.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, it's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think you could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text ENERGY to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text ENRGY to 42424. That's ENERGY to 42424.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
What will be happening this weekend? I'm Jake McDaniel. Here's what's trending at 11:30. Forecasters say central Indiana will heat up before a strong cold front moves in Sunday, bringing rain and damaging straight line winds.
A big difference, though, however, is that, straight line winds can be over a large area, whereas tornado might be essentially in a much smaller area as well.
Jason Puma with the National Weather Service says expect on and off rain through Sunday. At least 3 people are dead after an earthquake which shook parts of Southeast Asia. Magnitude is 7.7, and it's a quake that struck around midday. The Trump administration is revoking many student visas. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Thursday that at least 300 of them are revoked. I'm Jake McDaniel, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You still thinking job change in the new year? Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy. IT? Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI. That's what I did. Really? How? Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up. Sweet. Are classes online or on campus? Both. Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students. You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIPC.
The cherry blossoms are in bloom in Washington, D.C. and happening in Indianapolis. The basketballs are in bloom.
Hey, just a heads up, by the way.
Yeah.
You got 2 weeks till the Masters, so just get ready because that's
right.
Yeah, so you just
that's when you
just so you know that Thursday and Friday I will be here, like in the physical,
but not in spirit.
No.
So Should we just bring somebody else in?
No.
You just want to take the day
I'm
off?
not using the off day because I'm one of the few people who I can watch a golf tournament and do a radio show at the same time. But I just want to give you heads up because you said things are blooming, and so I just wanted to
that reminded you.
Prepare yourself. You got 2 weeks for that. So
yeah,
get ready.
So you've got the custom basketball court that was placed in Lucas Oil Stadium. About 35,000 people expected in for the Sweet 16. You got tonight's game, late game. You going to be up for it?
Oh yeah, because I got Houston winning it all. My whole bracket, both like the actual bet that I made.
You bet against Purdue.
Well, I bet on Houston to win the whole tournament, Casey.
Okay.
And so both on my bracket challenge with Hammer and my actual bet really hinges on Houston. As long as Houston, Duke, and Auburn are going to decide this thing for me. So, yes, I am look, I hate Purdue. We've had this conversation before. I'm an IU person. Why would I cheer for Purdue?
That's true. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
And for all you Purdue people, don't give me the, we would cheer for you if you guys go.
You should cheer for the home team.
No, I cheer for my pocketbook. I don't want to be
team.
I don't want to be humiliated by Hammer and have to send a tweet out to some politician I don't like, and I want money. And Houston is my path to both of those things. So I cheer for Houston against anybody.
I've got Purdue and Maryland in the final two.
Now Purdue was. I mean, I was shocked at what an underdog they were. It was like 8.5 points yesterday, which seemed very, very high considering it's going to be a home game for Purdue. And so it's going to be the worst of all worlds for me. I'm sure I'm going to have to end up staying up until 12:30 just to watch my bracket go up in flames. I can see it coming, Casey.
So Notre Dame women's team, they're doing very well, by the way.
By the way, real quick, I drove past a parking lot next to Lucas Oil Stadium. Now, keep in mind, the game is not until tonight. They already have the signs out.
Yeah.
Now, this is a bigger lot. It's not like it's just some business. It's a bigger lot. Want to guess how much they were charging to park?
$45.
$40.
Really? Yeah. That's a lot. It's a lot. I guess, unless you want to walk really far. What's the garage going to charge? The same?
Well, I mean, I get by the hours, right? I mean, the mall wouldn't charge that much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
but you got to walk farther.
$7 for 3 hours.
And then you might have to walk by some people showing their backside.
Did you see the homeless guy photo that I sent you?
Yes. Was that real?
I don't know. I mean, the guy who sent it is, I think, a pretty well-known local entity who took the photo.
It was at the corner of Alabama and Washington
That's what he said.
Street.
It's a pretty well-known guy. I mean, I don't. Why would you make that up? And by the way, even if it's not real, of the homeless guys doing a bunch of stuff and one guy's passed out
with his pants down,
would it even be surprising to you if
no, I mean,
it's real enough that it's totally believable. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What's going on with Notre Dame?
The Notre Dame women's basketball team, they play on Saturday against TCU.
Oh.
They're playing in Alabama. They're the slight favorite in that.
Okay.
So if you don't want to root for Purdue, I know you're a Notre Dame fan, that's your play.
So can we be honest with each other, right? We're honest. It's just us two cackling hens.
You're going to say something along the lines of, it's women's basketball, I don't care.
How did you know? That's amazing that you got that right. Well, my just assessment was going to be, haven't we returned back to, and we're proving what Caitlin Clark is and means, because is anybody even talking about women's basketball this year? Think about the fever pitch of women's, no pun intended, the fever pitch of women's basketball last year. And so that brings me full circle to the WNBA, how insane it is that they continue to try to act like she's not the golden goose and just 100% embrace that.
Yeah. Well, this is the 4th straight appearance for the Notre Dame women in the Sweet 16.
Do you watch women's basketball at your house?
You know what? When I actually moved to South Bend many years ago, one of the first people I met was Muffet McGraw, who was
the coach,
the former coach.
Were you friends?
I wouldn't say we were friends.
Did you go
but
like hang out together?
No, no. We. I mean, I interviewed her often.
Yeah.
But no, we weren't friends.
Okay.
We didn't brush each other's hair.
So will you
or
watch
like
the game is tomorrow, Notre Dame women?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give it a passing glance.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Good luck.
After I sleep in from staying up to watch
Slow your excitement roll over there, lady.
Okay, so do we have time to play the Elon Musk clip? He was talking about, his Doge efforts. This was with an interview with Brett Baer on Fox, and he revealed that the federal government spent almost $1 billion on what?
For you, what's the most astonishing thing you've found out in this process?
The sheer amount of waste and fraud in the government. It is astonishing. It's mind-blowing. We routinely encounter wastes of $1 billion or more, casually. For example, like the simple survey that was literally 10-question survey that you could do with SurveyMonkey, cost you about $10,000. The government was being charged almost $1 billion for that.
For just the survey?
$1 billion for a simple online survey. Do you like the national park? And then there appeared to be no feedback loop for what would be done with that survey. So the survey would just go into nothing. It was like insane.
So $1 billion survey to ask if you like the national parks. And then they did nothing with the results.
Well, and it's fascinating how much money government wastes. And we talk about this all the time when they don't want to give you any help with property taxes. I saw this yesterday, and it's a state thing, but it's in every state. The state of North Carolina is about to approve $500,000 to study if they should have a pro wrestling Hall of Fame in the state of North Carolina.
How much?
$500,000 to study.
Not even to open it, just to see if they should have one.
$500,000 to study if there should be a pro wrestling Hall of Fame. And then if the answer is no, you just wasted $500,000. This happens all the time. It's why the Mapes Moops email and all that stuff is so gross. And look at what he's talking about. This happens everywhere. And yet we are led to believe that if they are forced to have any sense of accountability and you get any sort of help being able to afford to stay in your home, that somehow the whole thing is going to fall apart.
Well, it's just like Westfield with their $2 million for the census.
Sure. Right.
Where they may find interesting information or may not.
It is unbelievable how wasteful and look, a lot of that stuff is going to people's friends. Who's benefiting from it? Who's getting paid? And then how much do those people in turn help the politicians continue to get reelected?
Okay, so let's move on to number 5, Kevin. This was a Doge engineer, and he was talking about Social Security.
I'll say the 2 improvements that we're trying to make to Social Security are helping people that legitimately get benefits, protect them from fraud that they experience every day on a routine basis, and also make the experience better. And I'll give you one example is at Social Security, one of the first things we learned is that they get phone calls every day of people trying to change direct deposit information. So when you want to change your bank account, you can call Social Security. We learned 40% of the phone calls that they get are from fraudsters.
40%?
That's right. Almost half.
Yes, and they steal people's Social Security is what happens. Is they call in, they say, they claim to be a retiree, then they convince the Social Security person on the phone to change where the money's flowing. It actually goes to some fraudster. There's this happening all day, every day. And then somebody doesn't receive their Social Security. It's because of all the fraud loopholes in the Social Security system.
So somebody had called earlier and they said, when it comes to, because we were talking about Social Security yesterday, in regards to that if they would just change the name to Ukraine, it would be fully funded.
Kev, how long do we have? What do we have? Because I don't want to. Oh, we got 1 minute. All right. Well, because Susan's going to join us next for the Mind Your Manners. And You have terrible dining habits, Casey.
I do?
Well, yeah. I mean, and that's why I asked Susan this week if she could help us do dining etiquette, because you eat your soup wrong, you use the wrong spoon. I'm just mortified when we when we go out together, for various events.
That's not true.
Well, when we had that. What was that? The Spectrum thing where we got screwed a couple of years ago.
Right.
We didn't win.
Do you think we'll get nominated this year for that? I mean, we are a #1 rated show.
Well, and I was declared, wasn't I declared the most powerful radio broadcaster in the state?
Right.
I should get that award at the Spectrum. Does Marconi have that? Can you get a most
powerful? They're going to hook you up to an SMR? You'll be really the most powerful. Okay, Susan Beckwith is going to join us next. It is the Mind Your Manners segment to round out your Friday with Kendall and Casey.
What a way to go home!
On 93 WIBC.
Come on, Dave, give me a break. Hey, one break coming up. Change, nothing stays the same. Out of change, yeah, you hit the ground running. Change, nothing stays the same. Out of change, yeah, you hit the ground running. Change, nothing stays the same. Out of change, yeah, you hit the ground running.
Hammer and Nigel show 3:06 this afternoon. It is Beer Sample Friday. We're going to have a good time and the championship of Hammer and Nigel Records Madness.
Many times, patients have symptoms they didn't know were actually related to their airway breathing issues.
I was suffering from sinus issues, jaw issues, and neck pain. I guess I just kind of had my breaking point.
Unfortunately, this is typical. But until you get to the root of your problem, it's going to just persist. Fortunately, Jody took action, and the results were typical as well.
My quality of life is so different. But one of the first things that I noticed was my breathing. I don't ever remember being able to breathe like that.
Being able to breathe freely is life-changing, and the effects can go beyond that.
Sleeping better, having more energy, and it seemed as if all of those symptoms that I had just melted away.
And thank heavens for that, because at Advent, results are what drive us, helping you breathe well so you can live better.
Results may vary. Most insurance accepted.
Are you planning for your retirement? Ensure you're on the right track with a crucial step, tax planning. At Absolute Wealth Management, LLC, every retirement plan we design includes comprehensive tax planning. Imagine maximizing your savings while minimizing tax burdens. Tax planning isn't just about the present. It's a cornerstone for retirement planning. The less you have to give to Uncle Sam, the more cash flow you have in retirement. So take control of your financial situation. Proper tax planning can help optimize your retirement income, leaving you with more time to enjoy the life you've worked hard for. Let us help you create a tax-efficient retirement plan. Your future self will thank you. Call Absolute Wealth Management, LLC, 317-288-0634. That's 317-288-0634. Or visit AbsoluteWealthManagementLLC.com. William Gonzalez offers investment advisory service through Gradient Advisors, LLC, 877-885-0508, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Absolute Wealth Management is not a registered investment advisor nor an affiliate of Gradient Advisors. Gradient Advisors, LLC, and its advisors do not render tax, legal, or accounting advice. Insurance offered through William Gonzalez, independent agent.
The deals and specials are sizzling hot. It's the Central Indiana Gun and Knife Show this Saturday and Sunday at the Stoutfield National Guard Armory on West Minnesota Street. The best dealers in the region, hundreds of tables, just $6 for adults, kids 12 and under free. Must be 18 or accompanied by an adult. Buy, sell, trade. This Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Stoutfield National Guard Armory. For more info, visit CentralIndianaGunShows.com.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit NoTimeToWait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Brooks and Dunn, the best-selling duo of all time, live.
Something country.
Neon Moon Tour 2025.
Urban neon.
With David Lee Murphy.
A little dust on the bottom of that red dirt road.
April 3rd, Gainbridge Fieldhouse. sale now at Ticketmaster. Brooks and Dunn Live.
Stay warm and cozy all winter long with a Howald Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing tune-up. Seasonal wear and tear can take its toll on your furnace. Schedule now. Howald Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing, where coming home never felt so good.
What if the next time you painted your home was the last time you painted your home?
Our home has had Rhino Shield for 10 years.
Rhino Shield. Call 888-RHINO-41. Don't paint, don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
Kendall and Casey.
I'm a young, up-and-coming professional. We are people who want to work. We want to engage. We don't want to be freeloaders. And yet, it makes it very hard for young people to actually do that.
Kendall and Casey, 9 till noon on 93 WIBC.
Susan, looks like I'm losing my mind.
It is that time where we wrap up the work week, sending you, our loyal and amazing audience, into the weekend with the tools necessary to be a better member of society. We call it Mind Your Manners, and to help you become better members of society, we don't just turn that over to any rank-and-file amateur. No, we have our own expert. She's a former Miss Indiana, now the second lady for the state of Indiana. Susan Beckwith joins us now. Susan, hello.
Hello. Happy Friday.
All right. So we're doing dining etiquette today. Is that correct?
Yes. So I've been very grateful for all the very sweet legislators' wives that have reached out to just make me feel very welcome. And one of them contacted me and said, hey, we are going to be in the area, and invited me to go to dinner and then the ballet. Unfortunately, I'm not able to join for the ballet, but she said, hey, when we're at dinner, we have a group of girls, students that are going to be with us. Would you be willing to share a little dining etiquette? I said, I'd be honored.
Oh, how exciting. So this is like, it's like a Field of Dreams moment for you. You get to hang out with the legislator wives, and you get to lecture their, is it their children? Is that right? You get to lecture their children on how to be proper little hellions?
I believe so. I believe it's a group of girls that are learning all about protocol, and so I just was very honored that they thought of me. So, yes, I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, we do not have time to go through all of dining etiquette on this segment, but I tried to think about what are some ones that I either see that are not followed or maybe broken or, not executed because they are unaware. So I've got a couple of those.
Okay, very good. Can we start with the spoons? Because Casey always uses the wrong spoon anytime we go to dinner somewhere. Can you tell us about the spoons?
I like the little spoon no matter what.
Well, you know what? The whole rule of working outside in is correct. And so that's so easy and a great, just reminder to have in case you get nervous, because sometimes depending on how formal the setting, there is a lot of extra silverware. But the one at the top of the plate, that's your dessert spoon.
Oh, very good. Well, Casey, you've been doing it wrong all these years. I kept telling you, it's not inside out, it's outside in.
Well, can we just fork off?
All right, you had a list of dining etiquette. I didn't mean to distract you from your very important rules for the road. Go ahead.
Well, I know that this one is pretty commonly known, but just a quick reminder, don't eat until everyone is served. And sometimes, somebody's...
Wait. So, like, if I'm out somewhere and somebody brings me my food and somebody orders something else, and they're like, it's going to be an extra 10 minutes. You needed your whatever fancy schmancy thing done. I got to sit there and wait because they ordered something that they wanted done ridiculous?
You know what? That's an excellent question. And the answer to that is in that circumstance, it's okay to proceed forward. So in general, try to wait just so you have a shared dining experience. But in that circumstance, it would be totally appropriate to move forward.
Okay, now what if you're out at a restaurant and somebody has served their food, like all the meals come, but then they brought the wrong food for somebody and they're like, oh, we'll correct that. We'll be back in a minute. Does everybody else have to wait, or can they go ahead and dig in?
No, it would be okay for them to start. And most of the time that person will, even give permission to say, please don't wait, But in general, you wait till everybody is served. But in those special circumstances, it's okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's cold. Food is going to be cold.
All right. So wait until everyone else is served unless somebody did something squirrely. Then if they did something squirrely, you have to be punished for that. What's next?
remove anything from the dining table that doesn't pertain to dining. So we talk about this so often, but it is just one that I feel like we all abuse, and that is having our cell phones out. So make sure that you do not have it out at the table, and just place it in your bag, ladies, so that you're not even tempted. And that's the next point, is what do you do with your handbag? So proper protocol would say either place it on an empty chair. If that's not an option, hang it on the back of the chair, or maybe even place it behind you on the chair if it's a small clutch or bag, but you do not want to put it on the floor.
Oh, not on the floor. Okay.
No.
Or maybe a hook. A lot of places will have, like if you're eating at the bar, a lot of places will have a hook under the bar.
Yeah. Or nicer restaurants. So I don't see those all that often.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, if they do, and some absolutely do, so that's great.
So, Rob, take your shoes off of the table. We don't want those on the table while we're eating. And does that include your elbows?
You know what? So that is a great question. You do not want your elbows on the table when you're eating, but prior to the meal, it's okay to actually have them. Like if you're utilizing them in conversation, you're just kind of resting them there. So long as you are not actually dining, that is fine.
Okay. I've noticed something that Europeans do that Americans do differently, and I don't know if this is a protocol or if this is just a cultural thing, and it involves eating soup. Have you ever noticed that Europeans will take the spoon away from them across the bowl and up to their mouth, where Americans just take it right up to their mouth?
The actual correct way to eat it is that way. You spoon away. So you are right, Casey. So that we've covered that. It's been a long time ago, but in soup etiquette, so you are correct. So good memory. So you're supposed to spoon away from you.
Look, time out, Susan. So Casey's making some sort of motion here. That seems totally inappropriate, the motion you're making for this family-oriented program. Whatever you do on your OnlyFans is up to you. But I don't even know what you're saying right now, Susan. What are you two even to what do you push the soup? I'm eating. What are you both saying?
Rob just will tip the bowl up to his mouth.
But I don't even understand what we're talking about here. What are you're making some motion. I'm totally out of the loop here. But you got to put it up to your mouth.
Yeah, but instead of spooning it right up to your mouth this, you spoon it away and cross.
Who cares?
It's etiquette. That's what this segment is, Rob.
Who invented that, Susan? Who said you have to eat soup in a certain way?
Well, it was so funny because I was reviewing all these, and I was like, oh, golly, I don't think we're going to get through all of them. And I had one about passing, food to the right, and I just could hear your voice being like, that is the most ridiculous thing. What is the purpose?
Wait. Tell me, because I'm about to say that. You got to pass the food a certain way?
Okay, so I literally, this is a conversation in my head this morning. I knew that would be a sticking point, and then I thought, just like the Senate and the House, there's rules that you have to abide by, even when they're ridiculous. And in this circumstance, it's just a systematic way of doing things. That's how we are a civilized society.
So there is. So like at my family dinners, if I pass something to the left, I'm in some sort of etiquette foul.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Slap on the wrist. And don't put your tripod on the table either. No recording.
Okay, so what did we hit today? Now I'm totally off kilter. I thought it was going very well until we got to the soup, and now the soup coupled with the passing of the stuff, I'm totally off kilter. So what did we hit here? We hit outside in with the spoons.
Mm-hmm.
We hit don't put your
phone and purse on the table.
That's right.
Or your shoes.
That's right. Or your shoes.
Mm-hmm. Elbows.
What was the other thing? What's the first thing Susan said? I'm totally off kilter now.
That's okay. Wait till everybody is served.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Unless somebody does something squirrely with their food, then you don't have to wait. I still don't even understand what I'm supposed to do with the soup.
Don't worry about it. According to Jesse Waters from Fox News, you're not supposed to be eating soup out at a restaurant anyway.
Thank you. Good point. I've always thought that soup is a ripoff. That's a way for them to upcharge you because there's no way that soup costs that much that they're giving you as part of quote-unquote the meal.
Probably not.
All right. Susan, tell us about your very fabulous website where you can be taught to feel bad about yourself for passing food to the left.
Taught how to properly act out in public.
Belle of the Midwest. I'm going to go read it this weekend, and no matter what my wife yells at me about, I'm going to say, I already know what a bad person I am. I've read Susan's Belle of the Midwest website. Go ahead, Susan.
We want to bring a lot of approachability to the topic of etiquette. And so there is actually soup etiquette on my blog, so you can check that out. I think I included a recipe. So, yeah, you can see other blogs on my website. And then as far as regular content that is constantly updating, just be sure to follow me on Belle of the Midwest Facebook page.
Belle of the Midwest, Belle of the Midwest. Find it at belleofthemidwest.com as well as Facebook. Susan, thank you for all that you do. You always make me feel worse about myself as a human being. You're the best.
I appreciate it when she does that, too. Thanks, Susan. And that's going to do it for us today. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you back here on Monday. This has been Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Planning on inviting friends and family over for basketball tournaments, hockey finals, or baseball preseason? Whatever you're hosting this spring, you know the hustle to get the house looking perfect. But there's one thing you can't fix on your own. It's the uneven front porch, tripping over the raised parts of the driveway, or the cracked pool deck that will surely stand out and ruin your fun. Keep your gatherings fun and your home safe. Start with a free inspection and quote from Indiana Foundation Service. Indiana Foundation Service knows how to fix these problems for you quickly and efficiently. Schedule a free inspection, which includes a no-obligation quote, and the team of experts from Indiana Foundation Service will put together a plan to solve your home's issues. Go to indianafoundation.com today to book your appointment. That's indianafoundation.com. Indiana Foundation Service, your trusted local experts for all things foundation.
Indiana Foundation Service.